Benny, bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Everyone! I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Let me explain something to you. I am not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude.
No one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle.
You can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Hello and welcome to Zedos Gang. Today we have Free Guy, The Witches, Lupin the Third, and His House, and a lot more on the Zedos Gang. Today I'm joined by Kenan Akbulut. As always, he's become quite regular lately. You've been on every one since our return, right?
I know, right?
Yeah.
A new lease of life. What can I say?
There we go.
Greetings.
So much of a lease of life. Expect to see him in his own podcast, Creative Control. I think the first episode came out today. Is that correct?
Monday. So
Monday. Okay.
Listening to this maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's out there now on all the main platforms. You can check it out on YouTube. Go to Creative Control. Episode 1's there, where we talk about what we would do with the DC Extended Universe. If you go to my website, which is Buzzsprout, you can get links to all the media platforms. There's on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, absolutely everywhere. So you can download and listen at your leisure.
Cool. We're also joined today by Greg Marshall.
Hello.
The board gamer himself, and also Salmon returns.
How you doing? How's it going?
That sounds like such a cracking movie. Salmon returns.
Salmon returns.
I can't even imagine what that'll look like, though.
Okay, so the first trailer that we're going to be talking of is the new Free Guy trailer with starring Ryan Reynolds. How do you guys feel about Free Guy?
I think it's going to be fun, but I think I'm a little tired out of Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds, if you know what I mean. I want to see him do a little bit something different, a little bit more dramatic, a little bit something that challenges him. I know this is where he makes his money and everything kind of ties in, and it's kind of, that is his like brand now, you know. So when he's advertising his gin, or he's taking the mick out of Hugh Jackman's coffee, the mobile network and broadband stuff that he does, it is kind of him, and this just is another exaggerated version of him. I'm not quite, I can understand the basic premise. Obviously, he is an avatar in a game, and he realizes that the world is a game. But the trailer flips between, I couldn't tell if he was sort of like an AI character who's become self-aware, or if the trailer also makes out that he's potentially controlled by someone. So that's not exactly clear, because then is it when that person turns their computer off, it switches to the AI? So yeah, it'll be interesting, but it looks like it's going to be big, it's going to be bold, it'll be a laugh. Whether it hits cinemas or not, who knows? At the moment, it doesn't look like it's going to be delayed, but if it does go to cinema, yeah, it'll be a good watch.
My understanding from previous trailers, and the fact that I think at one point it was being mooted as being called something like NPC, just realised that it would alienate half the people who don't know what that means. My understanding is he is an NPC that has become, has rebelled against the system as such, and has become self-aware, and then realizes finally he's in a game, which he didn't realize beforehand. So. Yeah,
because the only thing that confused me in the trailer, you get the bit where the woman's on Jeopardy and she's a blue shirt guy, and he's like, yes, who is blue shirt guy, he or she? So I was like, well, hang on. So that's the only thing that led me to believe there's actually someone controlling it. Otherwise, definitely I would have gone with that. But the fact that that threw in there, why would you reference the gender of the person if it's just an AI character? So NCP. So
yeah, I agree with the whole Ryan Reynolds thing, that he does play tough, but he does it so well. And if I watched this film and it was done by anyone else, I'd have gone, Ryan Reynolds would have done it just a little bit better. And that's the thing, is so I agree that I want to see Ryan Reynolds diversify while also always being Ryan Reynolds in Ryan Reynolds type projects, because I mean, at the end of the day, he was less Ryan Reynolds-y when he did his original show time as Deadpool, and then he came back and did Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, and it works. And it's like he's become more, much more of a star now. He's playing Ryan Reynolds, or he's Ryan Reynolds. So
And now I can't separate Pikachu from Ryan Reynolds. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it now.
Have you guys watched that? Have you guys watched that film?
Yeah,
yeah, of course.
It was pretty decent.
It was pretty decent. You know what I liked about it? They respected the law.
Mm-hmm.
They kept true to the actual video game, and they found a way to adapt it in a way that was accessible to everybody.
Yeah,
and it was awesome because Pikachu was Ryan Reynolds. Which
exactly. I mean, like in the game, he's just like Pika, but they found a way around that.
They did, yeah.
And it was. I thought it was clever and smart and ridiculously funny. So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Free Guy thing just because I'm an avid gamer and I just want to see the little in jokes that are there. There's going to be something for everyone, but I want to see the little tropes that we all come across when NPCs do stupid things or things glitch or texture popping or any one of a million things you could put in a thing like this that gamers will go, that's good.
Yeah, I'm sure they have characters just like walking up against a wall, like not moving.
Yeah, and that's
in the background. There'll be loads of stuff going on in the background, I can imagine.
Yeah, there's so much you could take the piss out of sort of like video game logic, and I hope they do all of that and then some. But it does still look like, despite the original trailer, this new trailer's come out quite recently, and because of that, the original trailer's been out for months and months and months and months. In fact, I mentioned it on a previous podcast, and I think Sacha and you were like, I haven't heard of that one. But it does expand what's going on, and now that it shows more of the story, I'm just sitting there going, it looks really cool, but it just looks like a live action Wreck-It Ralph. So I'm trying to understand: is it actually going to have that story? Is it going to be very similar to Wreck-It Ralph as such? So, who knows? I'll give it a go because I like Ryan Reynolds and I like video games. So
yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm not bored of him yet, as of yet. I mean, especially this year has been such a drag. Nothing's been coming around. I'm actually looking forward to it, but I'm expecting it to be a popcorn movie. So I have no high expectations, but I'm definitely ready to be entertained. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it could steal the box office, because we're going to be starved of content, and people will go see that movie. It's like the only blockbuster that will show between now and the end of the year, pretty much. So
plus, there's some levity in it. It's fun and global pandemic and shit. Just having a bit of escapism and just Ryan Reynolds-esque fun is just great. So
I mean, I could see it working on the Bill and Ted model. I mean, they released it both in cinemas and streaming. It's quite a lower budget movie compared to everything else that's out there. So I think if they did it that way, they stand to win kind of the same way Bill and Ted did. I mean, Bill and Ted made, obviously it didn't blow box office records, but it did well at the cinema during this pandemic, as well as everybody that are fans of Bill and Ted, they just downloaded that like straight away the moment it became accessible to them. So, and it's done the numbers and still continues to keep doing the numbers. So it'll be interesting to see whether they do that with this, because it's a comedy and because comedies are more accessible to everybody as well. And the sheer nature that it is gaming as well, I'm pretty sure, like Greg said, the Wreck-It Ralph factor, that became quite a cult amongst gamers as well. So, we'll see what happens, man. Okay, so next up, we have The Witches remake. Did we need a Witches remake? For starters, but you know what? Even though the trailer didn't grab me, I'm intrigued to see what Robert Zemeckis does with this. Mainly because I'm a huge Robert Zemeckis fan, and I don't think he's made a shit movie, to my knowledge. He's always, even his Laxter stuff has always been kind of good, you know what I mean? Or at least watchable and entertaining. And, my favorite film of his is still like, is still Back to the Future, all three of them as a trilogy. It's like probably the second greatest movie trilogy of all time, man. So if not, probably the first, I don't know. It's,
That's brave talk.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? It's up there. Even, what I love about Back to the Future? Kids watching it now love it. It's timeless. Even though it's dated, it's still timeless. That first movie grounds it. The second movie, even though it's dated, they kind of, it's kind of like being like, oh shit, that's what you guys thought now would look like, but it isn't, and for us it's kind of funny because we were all counting down for when we got our hoverboards and shit like that, and it didn't come to fruition. But No, man. Robert Zemeckis, he can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. The trailer didn't grab me as such, but I'll check it out. But I don't know. Thoughts, guys?
I like the original one back in the day, and it was good. And Angelica Houston was obviously awesome as the witch, and it was all a bit crazy and mental. But it's not up there on one of my favorite films. It's certainly not even up there as one of my favorite Roald Dahl adaptations or books or stuff. But it should be fun. Anne Hathaway should make a good witch. I hope they do something interesting with her transformation into the hideous sort of side of it. But I don't know. I don't think it's really aimed at me as an audience anyway. So I'm not going to rush out to get it if it eventually comes onto Disney Plus. Is it a Disney property?
I'm not too sure.
If it ever ends up on Disney Plus or a streaming service, I'll watch it. But I'm not going to rush out to go see it. But then I don't think it is aimed for me. Obviously, the stuff with the mice is going to be an awful lot better than it was back in the day. They're going to be able to do more and stuff, so it should be more action-packed as such. But yeah, I'm fairly nonplussed.
So this is Max.
Yeah, so it's a HBO Max. So I'm not sure how that's being released over here, because this is something potentially a Sky, like a direct to Sky or a downloadable on Sky. It's probably the what's going to happen, but there's been no real explanation of anything in regards to HBO, anything what they're doing anywhere else other than the States. So, it seems that they're launching this major movie on a platform. I say major because obviously the cast that's in it and the potential revenue that it could bring, or subscriptions at least. And you can't really get HBO in many territories. So it's just really bizarre.
But the original Witch had something that was absolutely amazing that this one is almost guaranteed not to have. Alongside Glenn Close as a pirate in Hook, it had one of the greatest hidden cameos, which is Michael Palin as one of the female witches.
Yes.
So, Michael Palin as one of the witches. So they got to do something like that.
Yeah. I probably want it. I've got a nephew. I'm going to take him. Well, not take him. I guess I'm going to probably end up seeing it at home. I have no idea how it's going to come here, though. But let's see. But I've noticed a couple of HBO shows have popped up over on Netflix. Let's see if they do that. Well, maybe on Prime. I don't know. They could use either of them as well, if not Sky. But yeah, other than that, it kind of reminds me of the old school family movies from the 80s. Or not 80s, sorry, the early 90s. Let's see if it is. And in my view, this guy has done Contact and Forrest Gump and so on. He has not made, put a wrong step yet. So I'm guessing it should be decent, if not bad, if not good. Sorry.
Yeah. In regards, so there was kind of two trailers for this actually. So there was a UK trailer and a US trailer. And the UK trailer was a lot darker. Now, apparently they're going to maybe do a cinema release of that over here because obviously they don't have the platform. But yeah, apparently there's quite a difference in the two. I only saw the one, which I think was the HBO Max one, because I was obviously advertised as such. But apparently there's a UK trailer, which is a lot darker. The original Witches for me is a movie that kind of stuck with me. I think maybe the age that I saw it. A couple of scenes in particular was obviously right near the beginning when the grandma's kind of explaining to the boy where, what witches look like and what to look out for. And he's up in this tree house.
Yeah.
And you have the woman come and approach him from below and she offers the snake and then the eyes turn. That stayed with me for a long time.
That stayed with me, actually. That's the one scene that stayed with me as well. It was just
because it was just
in a kid's
so real. It was so accessible. So it was, so obvious. And obviously the movie got a little bit more over the top, and obviously Angelica Houston's transformation and stuff like that. But yeah, that one scene as a kid stayed with me for a long time. So look, Anne Hathaway, she'll probably have fun in the role. It's got a decent supporting cast as well. It's interesting they've done a slightly, maybe a slightly different take on it as well in terms of the other characters and the number of mice that are involved and stuff like that, because it says it's based on the story of Roald Dahl, but obviously Robert Zemeckis has done his own version of it. So, but yeah, that was the name that popped out that grabbed me in the trailer as well, Robert Zemeckis. I was like, oh wow, I didn't even know about this. So, so yeah, that's kind of got me really interested for it, to see it. But again, like Greg said, it's not one that I'm going to be rushing out to see. When it becomes available, it's available. Now that Cineworld are closing down and I'm not going to be having my free movies, there's certain movies that I won't bother going to pay for. I'll wait for them to come on a service at some point. So, and that'd be one of them. If I had kids, it might be different.
Sure. Anything else?
No, that's it. Okay, so moving on. The Craft Legacy.
Now, these are witches that now this one does interest me in not the way you might think, in the sense that I love the original Craft.
Careful,
I've ranted on here before about remakes and reboots and rehashes and prequels and sequels and stuff like that. This just doesn't know what it wants to be. It's actually peed me off, because I've gone, what the fuck is this? And I think we had a chat on Facebook, Satch, about, you were like, oh, it's like a sequel set, in real time after the thing, modern day, sort of the legacy of the original witches, which made sense why they had, Nancy Fruza Bulk's character as a photo. But then when you watch the trailer, it's the plot seems almost identical, bar one thing that I think I've figured out. And it uses the same, all the stuff, light as a feather, stiff as a board. Oh, you can be our fourth. Now we have this. We are the weirdos, mister. Oh, we must protect the binding spell, the last part. It's the same fucking story. So it's a remake, but it's a sequel, but it just doesn't make sense. And it's just annoyed me, because I'm just like, what the fuck is it? Mm-hmm. They missed a chance to actually have, a proper sequel by sort of playing homage to, but still changing up and up. And instead, the only twist I can see is the person who gets brought in ends up being the nutty character. That's all I can surmise from it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what's the point when the original still stands up today, and no one is going to do scary fucking eyes like Fruza Bulk did in the original and scare the shit out of people. She was just proper scary fake girl. So I don't see the point. I really don't. And it's a shame, because I really like The Craft, but I just don't see the point of this one.
I just felt the trailer was really shit, to be honest. It didn't really bring a horror vibe to it. Look, here's the thing. Blumhouse have kind of done amazing work over the years by doing low budget horror movies and stuff, and I get that they're applying that formula to The Craft. The director is Zoe Lester-Jones. This is like her third film she's directed, or second film she's directed. She did like a TV episode here and there, and she's written this as well. So basically, she got success of her first film, went to Blumhouse because they like to get first-time directors to do some of their stuff, see what they could do creatively with their stuff. It's cheapest chips to make, because that's the Blumhouse way. Obviously, they're remaking The Craft. If you're telling me that it's line for line from the original, well, wow, we're entering Gus Van Sake's Psycho kind of territory here, and we know how well that did. I don't know, man. Like,
but that at least admitted it was a remake. It was a shot for shot remake.
Yeah,
so
it was.
Hats off, at least. As much as Vince Vaughn in a wig is scary as fuck for wrong reasons. At least he goes, we are doing it shot for shot, and it's a remake. This one isn't even claiming that.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt really bland. You know what I mean? Like most of these modern movies are. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some that, there's the odd few that like go, oh my God, that's amazing. But that's all the original stuff that's been churned out. But all these cash grabs, they're just soulless, man. And you can tell from that trailer, man. I wasn't feeling it.
Let me interject. I mean, if you look at the trailer, when you see a trailer that shows like 90% of the movie, you know the movie's going to be crap.
Yeah.
I mean, we sat there for 2.5 minutes watching that thing. And I mean, if you remember Craft, I mean, all the actresses, they were in the mid-20s. They were playing teenagers. These actors, they kind of look like they are teenagers. And they're shown in a funny way. And then they sort of show the whole story. It seems boring. It seems they've sort of repeated the whole thing. And then because everything's in the trailer, I don't know what to watch for. I mean, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking for in the film. So, yeah, it's a complete pass for me. Plus, on top of that, kind of looks like a CW show turned into a movie from the trailer, isn't it? I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I haven't seen Riverdale. I haven't seen Sabrina, the one on Netflix, or the Nancy Drew thing. But I've seen their trailers, though, and they look like this. And so, pass. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, so same. It kind of didn't grab me. I mean, Zoe Lister-Jones, she's first and foremost like an actress. She's been in lots of like TV shows, like New Girl, Comedies. Life in Pieces, and stuff like that. Friends with Better Lives and stuff like that. So she's she's a familiar face when you see her, you kind of recognize her. And it's only like a second feature. But yeah, I mean, I kind of remember the first Craft. I haven't watched it in probably since the year it came out. To be honest, it's not a film that I've revisited. So but yeah, it didn't grab me. It is for the tweens out there, this movie, I guess, and sort of like your Twilight audience, but it's but yeah, it didn't do anything for me.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Craft was one of those films, I think, when it first came out, I think all the girls in our group would put it on. I think it was definitely a favorite amongst Sarah Abrahams and Sharon Madison. Like every time we went out or hung around each other's houses, it'd be like, oh, we'll put on The Craft. And I think me, Dirk, and Simon Marrett must have seen that film like probably about 20 times more than we should have. But but no, I really enjoyed the first film, man. I still remember it now. I don't actually own it, come to think about it, and I think I should rectify that. Right. No.
I liked it. I liked it.
It had like the Screamcast, but didn't it? It had
yeah, that's right.
Campbell, Skeet Ulrich. But I think like something that someone touched on, the actresses were older at the time, and so I think it was more of a 16 to 18-year-old audience.
Yeah.
Movie, where this one seems like it's going to be like maybe 15 down. So I think the other characters are more relatable to the girls at our age at the time who were enjoying it because they dressed older, they seemed older, they acted older, where this is more adolescence.
Yeah.
Something like that. I think throughout the whole movie, it wasn't exactly because at that time we didn't have that many teenage dramas, did we? I mean, we have a bunch, but not that many. Nowadays, they're sort of packed every channel that has them. So it's pretty hard to do one. And that is a new material, which is this isn't. I mean, like Greg has said, it's literally a copy of it. So I don't know. I just don't know what to say about it, really. Just simply that it did not intrigue me at all.
I think I'd respect it more if it said we are basically a remake. We are inspired by the original one and got rid of the legacy stuff. I mean, there's no point in calling it a sequel unless it kind of links back to the original one, which the trailer doesn't seem to hint to over a photo. I mean, if they'd got one of the original actresses back in playing this sort of mentor parental role, then it could be actually quite something interesting for people who love the original film. But as you said, I think it's, as I said, I think it's just going to be aimed for the Sabrina, Rivendell, all that sort of audience. It's definitely not.
I was a little surprised when you said that you've read that it's not a remake. I thought it was a remake when I saw the trailer. I just thought that Legacy was just simply a way of selling it. You know what I mean? Just
it's interesting because when I just had a little quick look at the photos of the original one, and all the girls were in school outfits, so they were like high school age even in that movie. So I think
but
I kind of remember it differently. So even more so, it just appears like a remake than anything else. So
the plot from everything I've seen, some of the major plot points are in this, to the point where it's like it's not just going, we're paying homage to it. Like the dialogue is lifted, the spells they do, the story lifted, the numerous parts of dialogue throughout the whole thing. None of it seems to be original. There's possible twists, as I said, that the girl who's normally the good girl seems to be the one that turns bad, and that seems to be it. And it's like, well, that's just a bit shit. And if that was going to be the twist, which could then have made it interesting, they've given it away in the bloody trailer. So what's the point?
Okay, next up, Monster Hunter, the 17-second preview. You know what? Reason why I popped this on there was because my Twitter blew up from all my fucking work colleagues from Sega about Monster Hunter. I was aware there was a Monster Hunter movie coming out. And let's just put it this way. I'm not really that enthusiastic because I saw Mila Jovovich on there. So I haven't looked up the director. Okay, I deliberately haven't because that's how disinterested I am. But I guarantee you it's Paul W.S. Anderson of Resident Evil. Okay? Yeah, okay, it is. And did he write it as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so I already know it's going to be shit. Now, here's the thing. I'm not the biggest Monster Hunter fan. I've dabbled in it and stuff, but my brother is a huge Monster Hunter fan. So I know what to expect kind of thing, or know what I would kind of want if I watched a movie. I saw real world soldiers and a monster, and I was like, that was like within like 3 seconds of watching the damn thing, I was out then. I was like, I gave you the chance. you've already mastered of the universe 1980s. This film, I'm out. This is bullshit. And then
Sash, let me cut in. As soon as when I saw the trailer, I got a little confused. I thought it was Resident Evil, and then I replayed it again. I'm like, oh no, it is this.
Yeah,
like, it must be the same dude. And I mean, I'm a big Monster Hunter fan, like movies genre fan, right? And I couldn't tell a difference. I literally couldn't tell. So yeah, there you go.
And it looked cheap as hell.
It's only had a 60 million budget.
Yeah, it explains it. It explains it. It's gonna, you know what? At 16 million, it's gonna do all the money.
60, not 16, but yeah.
Oh, 60.
Still for a blockbuster movie these days, that's
it's
not
crazy nowadays that, go back to me and we're saying, oh yeah, it's a cheap budget, it's only 60 million. It's like,
Yeah.
You had a 7 million budget in the olden days, that's pretty big.
The only thing that interested me in this, the fact that Tony Jaa's in it, and I'd be interested to see what they do with him in it. But yeah, it just looks really poor. I was the first thing I saw, looked at it, and I thought it looked very much like a Starship Troopers type of thing, and just not for me. I'm not bothered. It was due for release in December. It's now been pushed back to April.
I have no interest in it at all. I don't know the Monster Hunter, what it's based on at all. It looks like another Resident Evil thing with Mila Jovovich. When the soldiers turned up, I didn't think they were anachronistic. I don't know what it's based on. I just thought it looks like Transformers with a biological thing instead of robots. And yeah, it just looks a bit shit. It looks... At least Starship Troopers was a classic because it was doing a satirical nod to the sort of the right wing sort of like, sort of fascism and things like this and what have you. And it was meant to be a sort of a satirical take on things. This looked like it couldn't even spell satire if it tried. So.
Yeah, the premise of this one is these soldiers get transported to another world through a portal, and that's dominated by monsters. So.
Oh my God, that's everything I didn't want to have from a Monster Hunter movie. So, it's not 1986, okay? Right?
Oh, come on, man.
It worked for He-Man. It worked for He-Man back in the day. But if they did a He-Man movie and that was the plot, I'm out. You know what I mean? I think everyone would be like, no, just fuck off with that shit, man.
I think Tony Jaa is like the Monster Hunter in a sense. So like these troops going to a portal, Tony Jaa's there. He's going to be the native to that planet, and then he's going to help them, or they're going to help him team up to take these monsters down. So
I want to watch it. It kind of reminds me of like Grindhouse movies, the pretty crappy B-rated movies. And they're fun to watch. You just eat and watch, Yeah, I mean,
they had a certain style and a panache to them, man, because they knew they weren't going to be taken seriously.
Dude, but you say that, but a lot of them did take their stuff seriously. They were trying something, It's just that they had very small budgets. The only person who's been really good at recreating those is Rodriguez, like I was watching Once Upon a Time in Mexico 2 nights ago, and I loved it. It's coming, Antonio Banderas shoots a guy, and the guy fucking flies away like a mile away. I mean, it's funny. So I mean, he's deliberately done it, but these movies, they deliberately do it because they can't really do anything else. They've been told, you know what? Why don't we just put a rope on this guy and pull him, and he'll show like he's been affected by the bullet. You know what I mean? And the guy goes a mile away. I like watching this crap because simply I don't take it seriously. I can switch my brain off and just watch. If it's really shit, I can switch it off and I'm fine with it.
Well, we've got so many movies and monsters and stuff in the ones in history that have stuck with you. It is possible to have subgenres within a genre or do something different within the people monster genre, and it's the ones that stick out. Love them or hate them. Things like Cloverfield was groundbreaking because it was a different take on it. Troll Hunter was really good because it wasn't just a big troll in the face constantly. It was stuff like that. Starship Troopers works because it was real biting satire by Paul Verhoeven. And it's just the ones where it's just going to be fucking Michael Bay-esque action. It's just going to be dumb. And as you said, you can enjoy it if you switch your brain out, but nothing will stick with you for more than 10 seconds after you've turned it off. And again, I wouldn't go to the cinema to see it, especially as, my Cineworld card is now useless as well. So there's no point in I'm not interested.
Okay,
next I guess when it comes to paying money, that's where the question is actually when it comes to should we actually spend money, and I probably wouldn't, but
it's when it comes on a streaming service. If I've had a really long day and I don't want to activate my brain, I just want to watch something that is literally just moronacy sort of pouring into my eyes, I will watch that one begrudgingly on Netflix or something. But that's about as much excitement as I can muster for it. So
I have Ghost Rider on right now, playing in the background.
Raving about.
It is the shittest movie, but it's funny and stupid, and
Well, it's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Is always amusing, even when he's shit.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
To be fair with Ghost Rider, I actually felt the best thing about it was Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
To be fair.
exactly.
I personally felt he was perfect casting for Johnny Blaze. When I heard he was the Ghost Rider, I was excited to see the movie. My problem with the movie is the movie itself. The movie itself was shit. I didn't have a problem with Nick Cage as Johnny Blaze. I didn't have a problem with the cast, but I had a huge problem when you say Blackheart's the villain, and then we get emo Wes Bentley and not real Blackheart. So yeah. And if anyone knows who Blackheart is, hopefully he'll show up in Doctor Strange at some point. I don't know. That's not saying that I know he would, but he's the kind of character that would show up in the Doctor Strange movie. And what we got was not Blackheart, man. We needed a CGI character that was like about the size of the alien queen and would fuck your day up. And the thing of nightmares. Instead, we had emo Wes Bentley. I was like, wow, they have no budget. The other thing with that film, I just felt it was too high budget for what Ghost Rider should be. I think Ghost Rider should be like a lower budget kind of movie, like a horror movie, like a proper grindhouse movie, and just save the effects for the transformation.
Be a good Netflix series, if that ethos of Daredevil, that would have fit.
Yeah, totally. That would. You know what? Ghost Rider as a Netflix series would totally work.
Didn't they try making that the MCU guys?
Didn't they bring it into
Shield? Yeah,
Shield or something.
Shield, yeah.
Yeah, they brought it into
he's
Shield.
a Shield. They did, to be fair. Not the Johnny Blaze, but somebody else who had the mantle,
Exactly, and he was good. And I think they were planning to make it, but at that time what had happened is the switch went off, and Netflix got rid of all the MCU shows because, well, they were going to go to Disney anyway later on.
Yeah.
And a lot of the shows got canceled and disappeared. But back to what Gary was talking about, taking from takes. Do you guys, if you have the Prime, service, they had this movie, they released in the middle of this pandemic. It was a sci-fi, like First Contact of Alien movie. Do you guys remember? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Don't, to be honest.
The Arrival sort of thing, is it?
It wasn't an Arrival. It was beautifully made in the sense that what actually was is that somebody got a recording of something that was unusual, and they thought it was something else. They kept on asking questions what it is, and it's set up, I think it's in the 50s or late 60s or something like that. So the cars, the way that people talk and how they were acted and all that, it was all 60s style. And young kids running back and forth between the radio station and between the game that was being played within the town. I'm guessing it's not jamming with anybody. Let me see if I can find it, and I can tell you this. It's, if you like those type of films that have a different take on things, and I mean, it's just technically a sci-fi film, but it's actually a drama. It's a beautiful watch. It's not that long. It's about an hour, 20 minutes or something, maybe an hour, 30 minutes. And it's something like that, like you've said. It's a different take on a First Contact, but not overly sci-fi because there's literally no graphics about that. It's simply people trying to investigate what the noise and sounds are and what the lights are flashing in the dark side of town. And then going and investigating it.
I guess I like films that you activate your brain just a little bit. Sometimes
exactly.
You can turn your brain off, completely and still sort of enjoy something. But I like things where it's like, okay, that's clever. I wasn't expecting that and stuff like that. And I just like that in a film. Just because it's sci-fi or big action or whatever, it doesn't mean it has to be stupid. So. Sure. Well, I guess it's the time and place. And sometimes I like moronic films, and sometimes I like they'll make me, think. And sometimes, flashy stuff does well as well. I'll come back to it. I'll tell you if I can remember the name. I'll tell you. Come back and let you know. Shall we move on to the next title?
Yeah. Next up, okay. So we've got the trailer for Lupin the Third, the First, which is a weird title. Stupidest name ever. But you know what? Like, I felt the English trailer that came out really didn't tell you what the movie was about. It was really jumbled up and
shocking
really,
trailer.
Yeah, I thought it was a terrible trailer. the Japanese trailer told me everything I wanted to know about the movie. I preferred that one. Main reason why I put it in there is because I'm a huge Lupin the Third fan. I've watched every single movie that's come out since, and the TV show that's come since. This is a new version of it because they're doing it in CGI and stuff, and it's getting a theatrical release and a limited run in this country. Probably not now because of COVID, but
yeah, because it's actually a year old. It came out. Japan? So it came out in Japan like December 2019, and obviously the English dub. So
yeah, so I mean, that's kind of standard for these things, and but yeah, I think it'll do well amongst the fan base. I've got my Castle of Cagliostro DVD right there, and if you guys don't know Lupin, he's basically a thief. He's a crime caper kind of guy. He's got like a crew, and each film is basically a different thing to steal, which leads him into adventures and stuff. It's very James Bondy.
I was going to say, it looked like kind of Mission Impossible meets James Bond meets Indiana Jones. So.
Yeah, it's definitely cool for action, adventure and stuff. And if you've not checked these films out, just check them out. You can get a couple of them on Netflix because I can see the whole Ghibli collections all on there. So the first one should be on Netflix, and definitely check it out. And
I think it's called Lupin the Third, the first, because it's the first movie that they're doing of it. So obviously, like you say, it's a TV series.
Yeah,
the characters, the Lupin the Third. Then it's called the first, and then you'll probably have the second, and Lupin the Third, which will just.
So is the character called Lupin the Third, as in like?
Yeah, he's called Lupin the Third. Yeah,
as in like third generation.
Yeah, see, that's what's confusing because to me, I just thought there was 2 movies before it, and then the first is.
Yeah.
I mean, I
hasn't translated that well.
I didn't know Lupin the Third, first, second, or the whatever one, and I watched it, and it wasn't something that really made me go, I really want to see this. I mean,
I thought the voice acting was awful.
See, that didn't help, and I thought the translation, something might be lost in translation, but it just seemed really dumb. The words, it didn't seem particularly poetic, and I just thought, do you know what? I'm not rushing out to see this one. And there are Japanese. I mean, I like anime. I like things come along that I don't necessarily know, like Alita Battle Angel, but I couldn't wait to see that from the moment I saw the trailer and loved the film. But this one is not on the same level as that. I looked at it and went, nah.
No.
So.
I never heard of Lupin before, so it was a completely new experience to watch it. That I'm intrigued. I will have a look. But I have no idea what I'm looking for, essentially, in the film. Let's see what happens when I see
if you like something a bit more James Bondy, Ocean's 11-esque, then you've got like a library of adventures to go on with Lupin. That's all I'm saying. But I will admit that
until James Bond finally comes out in 2037 or whatever it is.
But yeah, I felt it was a bad trailer. It didn't do the film any justice, and I think whoever did that trailer for the English part. Dub needs to be sacked.
I think they did. They did it without the translation. So I think they just grabbed a bunch of scenes together. It hadn't been dubbed yet, and then they dubbed the trailer because, like I said, none of it actually linked up together. It was so bizarre. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Mogul Mowgli.
Mogul Mowgli. Yeah.
Tongue twister there. Yeah, Riz Ahmed continues to impress with this, I must say. On the last podcast, we were talking about a film where he was a deaf guy. Now he's playing a rapper.
Sound of Metal,
Yeah, Sound of Metal. Really good one. He's really pulling the stops with the lower budget indie stuff because he's been in a lot of, like I said, last podcast, he's been in a lot of ensembles lately. And he's always been someone that's, always been good, but never really led a movie. And, with Sound of Metal coming and this is like a 2-punch basically hitter, and I'm quite intrigued to see what kind of movie this is and what kind of performance he gives. It's been directed by Bassem Tariq. It's also his first movie that he's done. He's done some documentaries for Netflix and a couple of short movies and stuff, so this is his first film, so be interesting to see what he does as a filmmaker rather than as a documentary filmmaker. And I see Riz Ahmed and the director both co-wrote this as well. So I think Riz Ahmed's probably going into the whole like producing, writing kind of thing to get him up there as, showcasing what he can do as an actor. And, after seeing that last trailer of Sound. What was it? Sound of
Metal.
Sound of Metal. You know, and they're two very different characters, and yeah, I'm intrigued to see what he does.
Yeah, this I thought it was a very well put together trailer. Really drew me in terms of what I want to see. It's going to be about religion. It's going to be about ethnicity. It's going to be about where you're from. You know, real high topic stuff at the moment. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I thought it was a very, very good trailer.
Yeah, I echo that. I watched this one and thought, now this looks like something where you don't want to turn your brain off for. I followed his career since he was excellent in 4 Lines, and he's just carried on doing good films. I was slightly worried come Rogue One he was going to start trying to break into mainstream roles, and then he's come back to stuff like this. And yeah, it's weird. You get the slight 8 Mile vibes because of the emceeing a little bit, and then it's just seems to be a real cultural thing, but facing racism and sort of violence and things. And so yeah, it looks absolutely fascinating. I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be a really good one.
I'm interested. I was a little apprehensive at first because I know he is a rapper, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah, he is. He is one, and he has a couple of records out. I think the first one came out prior to him shining everywhere. Let's put it this way. In the sense, remember the HBO project he did? In the Night, what was it called? In the Night?
The Night Of.
The Night Of. So one, I think, was prior to that, and the second one was after. And I know that they did well for a small release, and so I thought it was going to be an autobiography sort of thing. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like that is, but it does seem like the things that he may have faced during his first and that sort of thing, he may have used it to turn it into a story that to sell, essentially. So let's hope that is that, and then it will be really, really interesting to see.
That makes even more parallels of 8 Mile than that he can
exactly true.
Slightly autobiographical, would make it more like that. Yeah, it looks great.
True.
Sacha's looking very perplexed.
Sacha, very.
Moving on, next trailer is a Netflix movie called His House.
Yeah.
In the middle of Australia.
It looks amazing. The trailer.
This looked great, didn't it?
Creepy. I was a little surprised. I didn't know that was going to be a British film. It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a real rustic setting. It feels like a film like Sacha and I should have made. It's like the way the setting was, and his derelict house is going to be quite situational, I think. But it's going to have flashes to other parts, and we spoke about it I think just before we started, and I'll let Greg make the point. But it's really interesting premise. I'm on board for this, and doesn't look like your normal typical type of horror. Looks like some kind of supernatural element to it. There may be some twists, but I'm down for this.
I definitely am here, and I haven't seen Matt Smith, is that his name, in a while since he's left Doctor Who. That was a welcome sight back to see him. Plus the 2 actors who, I love how understated. They're not overacting in any way possible. Totally. There's no over expressions or anything. They seem legitimately, walking into an unknown atmosphere because they're meant to be refugees, right? Mm-hmm. And it's very intriguing. I'm very looking forward to it. And it's coming on Netflix, so easy peasy. It'll be done to do it the day it comes out. I'm watching it. Yeah. Not only a definite release, I'm watching it the day it comes out. So
I'm definitely excited about this one, not least because you start watching the trailer and the first part of it seems like a drama, and then just an orange or an apple or whatever it was starts rolling in a weird sort of way, and you're like, oh, okay. And so if you didn't know that you were watching a horror movie sort of trailer, it seems like a very gutsy drama that could, like, Mogul Mowgli, be about racism and sort of acceptance in Britain, and it doesn't. It just completely turns it. But going back to what we were saying about that things can be multiple genres, it's good. It's finally, I hate dumb horror movies where it's like, let's split up, let's do this, and just stupid decisions. I overlike horror movies that have that and parody them, like Cabin in the Woods or Scream or shit like that, or Tucker and Dale, or they just don't do that. They don't have stupidity. And haunted house ones is very hard to get right, because as soon as you're in a haunted house and some weird shit happens, you go, nope, and fuck right off out of there. That's the good thing
Exactly.
about House. Get the
That
fuck
makes
out of it.
sense.
And I love the fact that this is the first time there's a haunted house thing where there's incentive not to leave. It seems that they have to make this work, and it's like, okay, that's quite nice. It's not a twist as such, but it's a unique take on it. It gives them incentive to try to. And there was even a bit where they were trying to cover their tracks or not be too mental because they were worried about the repercussions and being kicked out of the country. So I think
that asylum
the
seeker thing,
asylum sort of twist on it, take on it, is gonna make it
asylum
really.
seeker twist is really nice, and like you said, it makes them want to stay. And like they say in the trailer, it's like, think about what we've done to get here. And you see the fact that they were, their villages got raided, they, end up in the sea and probably recovered. So it's like, we've gone all there to get here, to have a home, somewhere to live and be safe. We're not leaving this place now because we've got nowhere else to go. And that's brilliant. So yeah. Really.
The other thing that struck me at first, which I spoke briefly before the camera started rolling into Kenan about, is that the soundtrack immediately had things that came out of like Hereditary and Midsummer, those sort of weird sounds like and all these stuff, to the point where I'm like, is it made by, and I forget his name, Arad or Avi or Ari Yavid or Ari, I can't remember what his name is, but the guy who makes those, I was like, did he do this? Because it seems a little bit influenced by him. It seems a little bit influenced by Jordan Peele. It's that sort of thing. But these are people who are at the top of their game and at the top of the horror genre sort of like list at the moment. So if it seems to, and it didn't turn out to be made by that. It sounds like
it's actually a first feature. Yeah, it's a first feature. Guys made a couple of short horrors. So good luck to him, because if you can pull it off on your first feature and draw people in.
He looks like he could be in some very good company if he carries on, if it's as good as it seems to him that it might be.
But Jordan Peele has brought the style in. I think it's not going to be used quite a bit now because it is something that works. Have you guys seen The Third Day? That's on Sky right now?
No.
Right, so it's a miniseries with Jude Law.
Oh, I've seen the trailer for it, yeah.
Right, so when this particular trailer started, it kind of reminded me of that, like kind of just 1-2 scenes, but then again, it just changes completely. That is, you can say, it's a mystery, horror, and sort of supernatural, that Third Day show. And it kind of throws you off what it is. It still is, because I've only reached third episode. Fourth came out yesterday. I'll watch it today. I'll see what it is. But that said, I've noticed how people have now started using the Jordan Peele style within their own projects, because it puts a good effect, really, to get people in that state of mind that they want them to be. So, but I like the fact it wasn't overly used in this. So it's not like a copy, pasted. So that is a cool thing. So I'm very hopeful.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed that trailer. I didn't know what to expect going in. Obviously, like before we started the podcast, you guys were like, check it out. And yeah, it fucking delivered. And I can't wait to see it. It comes out pretty soon on Netflix as well.
Yeah, for Halloween.
So yeah, just in time for Halloween. So that should be pretty good to watch. Okay. Okay, our first topic.
No, we have to talk about that other trailer.
You want to talk about the other player?
I have to talk about that trailer because that has got the potential to be the greatest movie of all time.
Which one is this?
All right, we'll talk about it then.
Fat Man.
Fat Man. The Fat Man trailer. Mel Gibson.
Can I start off by opening Pandora's box here and really getting Sacha and Riled and me and him locking horns in the greatest battle of all time, which is, I think this is a film that has come into fruition based on someone going, is Die Hard really a Christmas movie? Fuck it, let's make one that is absolutely undeniable. Is Die Hard at Christmas? And it's done. Incidentally, Thatcher, it's not. It's just a movie that's set
by using the other actor that came in the same time period as what we call Die Hard, the Lethal Weapon guy, rather than the Die Hard guy. Mel Gibson.
I didn't know what to think at the start. I was like, is this a Lethal Weapon movie? Is this like, hang on, is he supposed to be Rambo? Because it's like, the legend, he's like, one-time deal. I was like, what is going on here? And then
who's the bad guy? Is Mel Gibson the bad guy, or is the kid the bad guy?
I don't know. That bomb. Oh yeah, I wanted to kill Santa. I was, oh my god, this is. Oh man, this reminds me a little bit of the Father Christmas parody they do in American Dad. In terms of where they have Father Christmas there, and there's this big gun fight, and he gets the elves out and stuff like that. But this just looks so much jokes. This could be the best Christmas movie ever. I'm just so looking forward to this, and Mel Gibson just doesn't disappoint. I'm so down for this movie. It's ridiculous. Such a great trailer. It took me so by surprise. Didn't know this was coming out. Hadn't heard of it. Guerrilla movie making. Just brilliant.
See, I was so vague about it when I told you. I got it from my buddy Colin just before we were about to go on, and then I was like, "Oh man, I did." I just posted you guys the thing. Yeah. It's coming closer to time. I was like, "Fuck it, it needs to be mentioned." And
I'm pissed that Colin didn't send me that. I was like, "What's going on?"
Once again, it's a good trailer as well because it starts off going, "What's going on here?" It does seem like Mel Gibson's random Mel Gibson film that he does nowadays, where he's slightly old but still playing, Riggs basically, and suddenly, it just, it's batshit crazy. It's on level of like Krampus type crazy, sort of for like how it's taken the law, but absolutely brilliant. I mean, there's a new trend, I think, with they did the one over last year or the year before with what's his name? Oh, my mind's gone blank. Kurt Russell as like a slightly cooler leather-wearing Father Christmas and things like that. So
Christmas Chronicles. They just announced the second one. We did Christmas Chronicles 2 on the last episode.
None of us had seen the first one.
There's two?
I saw the first one, and I didn't realize there was a two, but I saw the first one. I thought it's good fun. It's silly. It's kind of like, let's do, Santa Claus the movie for the modern generation, make it slightly more woke and crazy. And this is just like, let's do that and dial it up to 11 and just make it fucking batshit. And it's got, Walter Goggins is a really good actor and a really menacing bad guy.
He's such a great bad guy.
I'm scared as him as a hitman coming after me. And it just looks absolutely. And I can say this, I'm really interested in this because at Christmas, one of my jobs is I dress up and I play a very professional Santa. And I'm just going to be watching this going, I want to be that guy now.
I want to be that Santa.
I'm mixing that up. That's the dude I want.
This Christmas, it's Kurt Russell versus Mel Gibson. So let's see who wins.
I'd pay to see that as well. But it just looks batshit crazy and amazing. I definitely want to see this.
It's like Kurt Russell is like, I'm Santa for this generation, but Mel Gibson's just like, okay, then you're right.
You just spoiled the trailer for the group, dude.
Hold my beer.
Okay, just go. No. Hold my beer. Come on, bring it on.
Okay.
I wish they do Nice Guys too, because this reminds me all of that. Because it is the same sort of a genre, it's the same sort of a comedy versus unbelievable amount of violence.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there.
But it seems a very dark comedy. The comedy elements is just from, recognizing that this dude is meant to be Santa, that the elves. Yeah.
Well, it's listed as comedy.
I'm
not joking. It's actually listed as
comedy. I believe it is comedy, but I'm saying it's going to be a very quite dark comedy.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so moving on to the main topics. Okay, so Clint Eastwood is to direct and star in his next film, Cry Macho, which is based on a 1975 novel of the same name. This film has been in development hell since the novel was released. I mean, at one point, Pierce Brosnan, when he was younger, was attached to star. Who else was attached? Arnold Schwarzenegger was the last person attached about 10 years ago when he was about to make his comeback into movies. They were going to make it with him. And in the 70s, they wanted Burt Lancaster to star in the role. But now, finally, it looks like Clint Eastwood is actually doing it. Eastwood's been wanting to make this for some time because he wanted to do it in the 80s, or at least direct it in the 80s. But now he's more or less doing it as the last hurrah. I guess it makes sense because he's age appropriate for the role, but then that kind of makes me question who Pierce Brosnan was going to play, because when he was offered it, he was, at the height of his Bondom. So, I don't really know any more about what it's about other than it's been in long development hell. But you know what? Clint Eastwood just keeps trucking, man. He keeps directing. He's 90 years of age. That's crazy, man.
My feelings on Clint Eastwood is based on your feelings on Zemeckis, that he doesn't make bad films. He's really transitioned from a great actor to an amazing director. $1 Million Baby, Unforgiven, Gran Torino. even like Jersey Boys was great fun. He can't really make a step wrong, and so I'm just worried about his age. I just want him to churn out as much as he can now, just in case, because it's a scary world and he's not getting younger. So
yeah, it's kind of risky of him to take on this project at his age and with the virus as it is, because he's gonna have to be very, very careful. I'm hoping he can get this done, but I'm not sure, because how involved he's going to be in the movie. I mean, because I know he's supposed to be like this washed up rodeo star, who's now like this horse breeder or whatever. So I think he's going to be much more from a coaching point of view. He's not going to be doing any stunts. But I thought he was very, very weary in The Mule. He looked very, very fragile in that movie, and maybe he was playing into it because that was the point of the character. But yeah, I'm hopeful, but we'll have to see how this turns out.
I mean, as a director, like, who saw Richard Jewell this year? That was really, really well done. Really, really good. Oh, you haven't seen it? It came out around Oscar season. He directed it. I can't remember the name of the main guy in it, but it's got John Hamm in there. But the main guy, he's in a lot of TV shows and stuff, and I don't know the name of the actor. But the guy that was center stage was Paul Walter Hauer.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, he's in a lot of TV stuff. And Sam Rockwell was in it, but it was definitely really good. But as a director, he still brings it. You know what I mean? In terms of acting, to be honest, he's one of those people I didn't want to see, not want to see on the screen, if that makes sense. If he's in there, kind of like Christopher Lee. When Christopher Lee, before his later years, he'd just show up in random stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even for a day or two. I mean, look, if you looked at him in The Hobbit, like he showed up for one day, did everything in a couple of hours, and he's in the whole trilogy of that. You know what I mean? Granted, it's for a couple of scenes here, there, and a fight scene, but the fact they shot that all in one day for a couple of hours, and he was mainly sitting down and stuff. I mean, with the technology they have now, they could have him in a lot more movies, but I guess he chooses to only act for himself, because he knows.
I think Clint Eastwood, he preserves his reputation and he doesn't go for cheap paydays.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I've got a lot of respect for him for that.
Yeah. Any thoughts, guys? Or
I really look forward to see how he does it and what he does. I mean, the guy is, what is he? He's reaching 90 now, so
yeah, he's 90.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm guessing one of the reasons why he's doing less and less projects and pick and chooses what he wants to do is simply, the energy it takes to make one, and it takes quite a bit, and years too as well. So let's see. I'm hopeful.
Okay, so next up, Alicia Vikander confirms that Tomb Raider 2 is still on the cards and that MGM were going to shoot this year, but obviously due to COVID, they've scheduled it for next year for the shoot. I actually didn't even know that this was still in development, because obviously the last one didn't break the bank, but it, like other films that have come before it was one of those ones where it made its budget back, made enough to profit off a little bit, but obviously not a high priority for a studio. Obviously they were trying to reboot the franchise with the first iteration of it, and they're looking to capitalize on the second one maybe. But how do we feel about Tomb Raider 2? I didn't particularly like the first one. I saw what they were trying to do. I thought it was kind of poor, but I did like Alicia Vikander in the role. I thought she was very good. Outside of that, it didn't really do it for me. But I don't know, thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. I enjoyed it in the role. I thought it was a nice fresh take. It definitely made, it did decent bank. The budget was between 90 and 100 million. Worldwide, it took 274 million. Yeah. So, it definitely did well enough for a sequel. We're talking about Walter Goggins. He was in it. He was the bad guy. He was great in it. Dominic West. I think he's a great actor. And Alicia Vikander, she was like hot property off the Oscar win. So, I'd enjoy a second one because I really enjoyed the first. So, yeah.
I actually enjoyed it. Not only that, especially when it started, and that sequence of the where the ship crashes, It reminded me of the gameplay. So that really intrigued. Not only intrigued me, that excited me quite a bit. Yes, the mood kind of trails off a little bit after a while, but otherwise, I actually enjoyed it overall compared to the old ones. And as an adventure movie, it was pretty cool. So I was looking forward to the second one. I knew they did say they will do it a second one because 300% profit margin, technically, let's say 200% profit margin was decent enough for them to say, we'll give it a try.
You guys are forgetting the 100 million that went into marketing.
But every movie though. So
it's every movie though. But see,
movies when they talk about budget, they don't talk about the marketing costs.
No, but that's why I said 200% because you made 300 million over the budget, 100 million cut off. That's 200 million plus DVD and everything else sales and TV rights because it came on TV like gangbusters and every channel was playing it, and they make bank of that as well. So
plus nowadays they take in terms how much stuff gets streamed as well now.
Yeah, exactly.
They never used to about 2.5 years ago, but now it's big business. So
how else are you going to make your money?
Yeah,
just allow them to stream as many times as they want. I mean, you're not going to make anything. Oh yeah.
I admit I haven't seen it. I remember seeing the trailer originally and going, yeah, I'll watch that, but wasn't like I have to run out and see it. I'll wait and see it, and I just haven't got around to doing it. Not because I don't like the idea. I think the actors, as you said, there's some really good actors and very strong actors in there. I think Angelina Jolie did slightly spoil it for me by sort of it just being a little bit sort of cartoonish and stupid. But I'm intrigued, and I'll watch the second one. But again, it's not high on my list of rushing up to seeing this, especially as I haven't seen the first one. So, I'm intrigued. I just forgot about it. Is it really bad? I just went, oh yeah, that's still a thing, isn't it? Oh yeah, there was a reboot. I forgot about it. Not least because I hadn't seen it. But even if I had seen it, I felt I still would have forgotten about it. And the second one would have gone, oh yeah, they're still trying to keep that going. But it's gaming people will go see it, and if they've made it slightly more faithful to the games, and the games have changed as well. So I think no longer is it pixelated boobies that are sort of like
Angelina Jolie and that tone kind of fit it at the time for those playing the game, and it's probably the same people who played that first game which they're aiming this movie for now, because it's like your 30 to 40 year olds, and they did it based on the rebooted game, and I played the rebooted game and I thought it was great. So as someone said, I was watching it and thinking, yeah, this fits. It's a good interpretation of it. So
I disagree on that, but that's
that's opinion. So.
I just felt
the cup size.
I just felt they took elements from certain cutscenes, put them in the movie, but didn't really follow the actual storyline of the game at all. They just kind of made up their own storyline, which is fine. But obviously, when you sell the trailer on the premise that we're adapting this, I was expecting it to be a more faithful adaptation.
It was a bait and switch.
For me, I just felt really let down by it. But at the same time, I did like her in the role. I did like the tone of it, because obviously they were trying to fit with the new tone of what the new games are like, which I agree it did have that tone. It's just the storyline was just kind of like, well, this isn't that Tomb Raider I played, and I played all three of them pretty recently as well, so it's quite fresh on how they were compared to what the actual film was. Granted, they had,
but I also don't want to go in and see a film knowing how it's going to turn out. So if I played the game and I know the story and how you solve it and get to the end, it's like, why am I watching the movie then? So yeah, we've approached it differently. I'm like, I want to see the character in the adventure style of it, and tell me a story that I haven't seen before, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really sexualize her. They wouldn't do the pans, shots, up and down shots. But other than that, the action sequences are great. The stories, I think it definitely didn't work. But it did do the bait and switch, though. They did show the action sequences, like the plane crossing as well, the wing.
Yeah,
jump
that was
that was amazing.
Yeah, that was,
and yes, that was from the gameplay, and that kind of helped me like the movie even more. But that said, definitely the storyline needed a little bit more help. At the end of the day, I came out with a smile on my face and I enjoyed the film. No, it wasn't say, well, it was a great film, but definitely enjoyed it. And there wasn't a dull moment in this film. There was no lull within the films, which I liked. So the pace was good and strong throughout the whole thing. And plus, it was more like an Origins, like really like basic Origins.
Yeah.
There was no backstory at all. Really, it was just about this has happened and this is happening now. Period.
Yeah. Okay, so moving forward, J.J. Abrams is to produce 3 features based on Dr. Seuss's books. The first being the new animated Cat in the Hat, followed by The Places You'll Go, and the Cat in the Hat spin-off, Thing 1 and Thing 2. Thoughts on Cat in the Hat reboot and JJ being in charge?
I've never read Dr. Seuss books. I have no clue.
No.
So I think Dr. Seuss works because it works but you read it, it's tongue twisters, it's very clever and this and that. If the words work, but it's very hard to extend the stories. I mean, for every Lorax, which sort of was okay-ish, you've got like the Cat in the Hat, which was just slightly fucked up and dark with Mike Myers, and it's like it just doesn't.
Mike Myers?
No, the original
Cat in the Hat movie.
Right.
Myers.
Why
And
would
basically
Jim Carrey?
had to do it. Well, basically owed the studio a movie, and they pretty much forced him to do it. Otherwise, they're going to sue him for loads of money. So he just didn't give a shit in that movie at all. And you can tell.
Was Jim Carrey in one of these movies, or am I just?
He was the Grinch.
He was the Grinch.
Oh, right. Okay.
They did a Dr.
sorry,
Seuss animated with the elephant, was it, or something like that? Danny? Was it?
Horton Hears a Who.
Horton Hears a Who.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
I mean, the Grinch. I take back a bit of what I said because the Grinch is still one of my favorite Christmas movies. I just think it's really well done. I mean, it's got Anthony Hopkins narrating it. Jim Carrey was made to perfect.
Yeah.
If anyone can make Gurn enough that it shows through the most ridiculously heavy prosthetics, it's Jim Carrey and it works. It's like so. I like the Grinch, but I don't know. Also, J.J. Abrams, it's just a weird fit. I wouldn't have pegged him for going, yeah, this is what I want to do post Star Wars. I want to do a trilogy of Seuss things. You know?
I mean, he's only producing, so he's it's kind of we've got a name to this, but how much involvement he'll have in it, who knows? And they're all going to be animated, so
it's probably his studio's probably running the project. They're just doing project management.
Yeah, exactly. So he'll just kind of steer it in a bit of a direction.
Probably just making some money.
I mean, I never saw the Grinch, the new animated version with Benedict Cumberbatch. Has anyone seen that?
See that either.
No, I haven't seen it. No.
Again, I remember seeing the things and going, I'll watch that if it comes out somewhere. But
Same.
It seems to be the story of the thing. But yeah, I don't know about the Seuss. I mean, it's not the kids' movie that's been adapted adapted for the big screen that is worrying me the most. But we'll talk about that in a little bit because that's coming up. But it is still. Do we need 3 Dr. Seuss movies? Do they lend themselves to the big screen? There's not an awful lot of plot there, so it's a lot to clean out. But for every Grinch, there is a Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers, and therefore it depends which side of that the Grinch Cat in the Hat line.
Yeah. I mean, the Dr. Seuss books are huge in the States, and what this is, it's the announcement from Warner Brothers is very much, it's basically a creative partnership with the Dr. Seuss Enterprises, because that's like a whole brand in itself. So it's very much like pushing that agenda, saying, yeah, we're going to still do things with this company and make these kind of features. And they can just keep churning this stuff out in different variations, and it will make bank because the books are so popular in the States.
So when was the last Dr. Seuss, animation come out? It wasn't like 20 years ago?
Oh, there was one recently, the remake of the Grinch
one was literally
right. I guess it's just, it's a kid's demographic, really. So you can make as many as you like as long as they come in. And I'm guessing Bad Robot is just simply running the show of on a particular side. I'm guessing they're probably not doing the whole thing either.
Yeah.
So, but they need a name, right? So they got a name.
Yeah, exactly. So they've done the Grinch, they've done Horton Hears a Who, and they've done the Lorax. So yeah, they're just taking the other books now.
There we go. Yes, they're big in America. I don't think they're big anywhere else. I mean, I grew up between America and Middle East. I heard the books. I think I may have had one.
They're popular in the UK, but they're not as big as they are in America. In America, they're really big. They're still quite popular. So.
No, I take my nephew out to the library and I said Dr. Seuss books are not on the top of the list at all. I mean, they're the ones that are usually left behind when there's nothing else left because they're not part of the culture here at all. So yeah, there you go.
Okay, next up, Idris Elba to star in was it to star in Everest and Adrift and Two Guns director Bolter Corm. I'm going to butcher this guy's name. Comacore. Survival thriller Beast. The movie's pitch is The Shallows, but with a lion. Okay.
I don't know what that means.
So there was a movie called The Shallows, and it was basically a version of Jaws, but with less people.
Oh,
so
wait a minute. Is the one with Blake Lively? Is that one?
That's the one. So it's just
so
her
bad.
in the movie, by herself, and there's a shark out there somewhere, and she's like trying to figure out how to get to the shore. So, okay, with
so it's
lion,
like The Grey.
So I'm assuming
without the wolves.
Yeah.
Or it's like the fucking Leonardo DiCaprio movie without the
Revenant,
baby.
Yeah.
So it's whatever.
So I'm assuming he's in the jungle. There's a lion out there, or like in the savannah, there's a lion somewhere. And he's
It's like Jungle Book, but without Mowgli.
And like jungles, you're thinking of tigers. Yeah, lions are in Africa.
I never saw Everest. I didn't see Adrift. I haven't seen
Everest,
Shallows,
amazing film.
So I
Adrift, I don't
can't
remember.
comment on any of it.
Two Guns.
Two Guns. Yeah, I saw Two Guns.
Okay, same director.
Yeah,
Two Guns.
that's fine. It's going to be a very different movie, but
yeah,
I suppose it's going to be more in line with Everest and Adrift, I guess. So
Everest was brilliant, though. That was a brilliant done. But Adrift, I don't know. I can't compare those two movies, even though they're done by the same guy. Everest was good.
I know nothing about it. Again, like Ken and I hadn't seen Everest or Adrift. The Revenant obviously was good and won Leo the Oscar. The Grey was the greatest rug pull in history, where he finally killed himself a cestus with like,
with bottles,
and it cuts to black, and I'm like, you fucking anyway. And so that was just a case of like, oh, you dick. That was the bit
I watched it
you
last
went,
night.
That I want to see. I want to see the film that starts at the end of The Grey. And if they make it like that, somewhere between the film that starts at the end of The Grey and The Revenant, and the fact that Idris Elba is just cool and a national treasure, then it could be very good, but it could also just be a bit hokey and shit and stuff. But the CGI is to the point now where the line's going to be photoreal and kick ass, and it's going to be interesting. So
I watched The Grey last night, and then I forgot that 90% of the movie is the scenery. I mean, they are just walking around and keep on getting attacked by wolves by every 5-10 minutes, but at the end of the day, you're just watching the awe of the scenery behind them. It looks beautiful. And the Reverend and everything else just looked dirty at the end of the day. He couldn't give a shit how long he's running away from them. So yeah, could be fun, but this movie's been done. That's the only thing we're coming up with.
Yeah.
Okay. Moonlight. Barry Jenkins is to direct the Lion King prequel. The film is to have a Godfather 2-like narrative where parts of the film are going to be set in the past. How do we feel about the choice of director, and how do we feel about a second Lion King sequel, or prequel in this case?
I mean, I enjoyed the live-action Lion King just as much as I thought the live-action Aladdin was okay as well. I didn't think they were as good as the originals, but I enjoyed them. I thought they were okay. And everyone's going, but, there wasn't enough movement on the faces of the CGI animals. It's like, well, because if you made it cartoonish, it would look ridiculous. But
yeah,
I liked it. It was okay. Kind of mentioning the Godfather Part 2, which is probably the greatest sequel ever made, and that in the same sentence, just sacrilegious and bizarre. But I suppose if they're trying to explain how the narrative is going to work, that makes sense. I want to know if the part that's in the modern world is going to be based on the sequel to The Lion King, or is it going to be 100% a new story? Because I think the only reason that most people went and saw the live action thing is they were so fond of the original, and they went, you know what, still got James Earl Jones in, and the cast
still got some good songs, and
then still the songs are amazing, and it should be quite good. But people went and saw it because of that. Whereas, if it's completely all new story, are they gonna? Oh, but then are they making it really just to go onto Disney Plus and just be streamed lots and stuff? So
no, this
will be a feature release because I mean, Lion King made over $1 billion at the box office, so it's a no-brainer for them. But like I said, they've confirmed it's a prequel. It's going to focus on Mufasa and Scar, their relationship, I think, and how Scar got his scar, and was he called Scar before he got the scar, or did he change his name to Scar after he got the scar? So maybe that'd be the premise.
I've always questioned that. It's like, you know, get the name, but
yeah, because in the movie they kind of allude to the fact that Mufasa gave him the scar, which is different to the animated one. But yeah, I thought the movie was okay. I liked some of the performances. I thought Timon and Pumbaa were voiced brilliantly in the remake. The rest, give or take it was fine. But and John Oliver was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest of it is a little underwhelming, I guess. But that's the difference between the reality. I mean, I think I enjoyed Jungle Book more.
Which one?
As in the Jon Favreau version of Jungle Book.
That was awesome.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that more because I think it played more into the types of characters and animals and stuff that they were. But yeah, it's this will still do loads of money for Disney.
Did you guys watch Mowgli? The one done by...
I saw Mowgli, yeah. That was the Andy Serkis one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was fine.
I mean, all these things are good. When we were told to watch Mowgli as the thing, I thought it was going to be some sort of retake on for the jungle.
What happened when he left the jungle?
He became a mogul. It's very bizarre.
That'll be the twist at the end. I'll have a flashback of him being left in a village by a panther.
I just want to see a rap about Bagheera and Baloo. Yo, my homies Baloo.
I'll probably end up watching it because I got a nephew I got to take, and that's basically it, really.
I'll wait for it on Disney Plus. I'll wait for it to get on there.
No, there you go.
Could be interesting. Could be good.
Okay, so Guy Ritchie plans a TV show based on this year's The Gentleman, which he directed. The film version itself was supposed to be a TV series idea originally, which he still wants to see seen brought to fruition. Have you guys seen The Gentleman, and what are your thoughts on a TV show version of this?
I love the film. Comes back, then I'll be happy. That's all I care. Hugh Grant was absolutely.
He was.
I still haven't watched this movie.
Oh my god!
Have you not?
You know what?
I'm off right tomorrow. Now as well. I'm off the next 2 days. I'm going to watch it tomorrow.
Yeah,
it's on Prime right now.
It's come on to either Netflix or Amazon Prime.
It's on Prime.
I will be honest with you guys. This year, that is possibly my favorite movie this year.
That's because you haven't seen You haven't seen Fat Man yet.
Yeah, that is true. I haven't seen Fat Man yet, but so far that is the leader of my favorite movie this year, hands down. Because for me, it was Guy Ritchie back to form.
Oh yeah.
And it was kind of like, I see why you directed Aladdin now. I get it. I get it, because he's always kind of been in this kind of movie jail where he's doing studio movies that haven't really made a profit. And then he does Aladdin. It makes the mad monies. And then a lot of us were like, he's lost the plot. And then he backs it up with The Gentleman. And I'm like, you are a genius, sir.
There it is. One for me, one for you mentality.
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like stuff like King Arthur was just shit. And I'm glad that he reused Charlie Hunnam, who can be a very good actor.
Oh my god.
That was brilliant in it. It was so good. Yeah. And
that dynamic between, actually can't really say that much because he hasn't seen it, the Kenan here. But the dynamic between what I call your Charlie Hunnam and
Hugh Grant.
The guy we were just talking about, Hugh Grant, that was amazing. I mean, it was brilliant. And it's basically the backbone of the movie.
Yeah.
I just like seeing Hugh Grant play against Ty, be completely opposite of
totally.
And it was just genius casting. But no, once again, Guy Ritchie knows how to do an ensemble piece. He knows how to get a cast. He keeps these friends and favorites in it. He likes working with certain people, and I'm glad, as I said, he worked with Charlie Hunnam again after the fucking bastardization of this great British legend that was King Arthur. And I refuse to watch things that are like that now, like the new Robin Hood. It's like, oh god, like machine gun crossbows and leather hoodies, and it's like, fuck off. So I hate that sort of thing, and yet this look was absolutely brilliant, and it was just that sort of non-linear, strange telling, little rug pulls and twists and this and that, and it was classic Ritchie, as you said. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. I like most Ritchie things, or all Ritchie things, and it's up there with all of them, really. So,
but he's done that with all his films now, because there's a TV show, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, which I haven't seen, but I just got it, and I will watch it someday. And I'm hoping it doesn't ruin my, image of what a Guy Ritchie is. But he has a Snatch show as well, right?
Yeah.
With the guy from Harry Potter. I forget.
Yeah,
his
that's
name.
right. I never saw
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I've seen the first season. It's not bad. It's actually quite decent, but it kind of tries too hard to be a Guy Ritchie style at the same time to be its own. So it's kind of stuck there. So it needs help. I have not seen the second season though, and now this. So I'm just hoping it doesn't fall into what the second is, because I haven't seen the first one. I haven't seen Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels TV show.
A lot of the problem is I haven't seen any of the TV shows, but
Right.
what makes a Guy Ritchie film amazing is this guy knows how to put a cast together. He knows how to get a great ensemble cast, and he's not scared to go, let's have Hugh Grant playing this. Let's have like one of the hottest, most popular actors of all times on like Brad Pitt, and let's make him incomprehensible with his speech. And then people are like, what the fuck? And he's so and he'll do that, and he'll make brave choices. And so yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, anything outside of his normal sort of crime sagas, I haven't really enjoyed. But I quite like the Sherlock Holmes films. They're
fun. Yeah,
they're fun. They're not my best Sherlock adaptations. They're better than Enola Holmes. They're not as good as Benedict Cumberbatch, but they're good. They're fun.
Did you guys watch Enola Holmes though?
I did. Yet. I thought it was okay.
I liked it.
I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought Henry Cavill. I think it's good, but yeah, the mystery was just a bit crap and lame. I wanted a mystery to unravel. But yeah, I thought it was fun. I'd watch another one, but yeah, no. Going back to what I just think that Guy Ritchie's strength is in these films is these casts, and if there's a gentleman thing that doesn't have Hugh Grant's character back, then it's just like, I don't want to see some peripheral characters or non-existent characters in that universe.
I mean, if you can turn Henry, what's his name? Henry Gold. What is his last name? I can't remember his last name. Like, I mean, he is essentially the travel documentarian, isn't he? He used to be on, I think, BBC and Discovery Channel, just doing travel shows. And he did a rom-com, and then he did this. I mean, that's a big difference there. Crazy Rich Asians, right? That's what he did, right? And he was all right in that. I mean, he didn't really do. I mean, there wasn't that much to do in that film. It was basically the girl, the actress. It was her film the whole way. But this, he was good at. You'll see, Kenan, what I'm talking about.
Check it out tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Jamie Foxx is back as Electro, but officially for the MCU. It's official. He's actually commented, but had to retract his Instagram post that he is back. He is playing a different iteration of Electro for the MCU, so he won't be in blue. He did on his tweet.
Okay.
His official tweets, he did say he won't be blue.
Well, he said he wouldn't be blue. He didn't say it's a different version of it.
Well, it's going to be a different version, man. If he's not blue, you can't really be Electro, really, isn't it?
I'm not convinced. I don't get me wrong. I think Jamie Foxx is an amazing actor, and he was wasted a little bit in that. And Andrew Garfield was okay, but it just wasn't the Spider-Man that I wanted to see. I mean, I like the.
It was a good Spider-Man, poor Peter Parker.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. He was more wisecracking than Tobey Maguire, which was good, but Tobey Maguire was more sort of unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, Tom Holland is Spider-Man. He is Spider-Man, and they've nailed it. Just not least because the MCU knows how to stop fucking up their actual, their IP. And so yeah, I love the fact that that a deal was remade between Sony and MCU, and that Marvel, and we're going to carry on seeing Spider-Man in lots of things. But I'm scared that they're hinting at this idea of the multiverse, that we might suddenly see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield turn up, and I'm just like, I don't want to see that. I want to forget about them now. I'm done with them. I want to see Tom Holland. I want to see that sort of thing in like this Into the Spider-Verse thing, which was absolutely phenomenal. That's how I want to see that. Yes. Don't get me wrong. If they want to bring Nicolas Cage in to be sort of noir, Spider-Man noir, I'll watch that all day long. But I just don't want to. It's muddying the waters. If it's a different version of Electro and stuff, they should have got a different actor. And again, a really good actor, but a different actor.
But do you think it's because of Sony they have shoved in Jamie Foxx?
Well, I'm
I think
slightly
so.
worried what they're getting at, because
That's
they
what I'm
know
thinking.
that people are going to go, well, wait a sec then, are you saying that all the Spider-Mans you've done are canon now because the MCU
Exactly.
changed it? You've had multiple origin stories, and they keep rebooting it, and then finally the MCU went, how he gets bitten, we're not even going to do that, we're just going to bring him in, running up and running. So I don't know. I don't know what they're getting at. I'm worried they're hinting at a thing, but yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm totally
Why
on the
would
same
MCU
page with you.
want
I'm going to
something that's
say
not
One
its own
Piece.
property?
Yeah, I'm going to say One Piece and then I'm done, because this angered me so much when I heard this. It's just, yeah, I can't. It's hard for me to put into words. If this happens, how disappointed I'm going to be in Marvel, because if Sony are pushing this as Marvel, despite money, I would just walk away from the table. To merge those Sony movies in a multiverse with the MCU, I think it would be a huge mistake. I think it would ruin the legacy of the MCU. I think it would dilute it. As much as it'd be a fun idea, yeah, put them into the Spider-Verse, get more voice acting in there. They'd already talked about doing it in the first movie, but they couldn't make it happen. I don't care if he's a different version. You get a different actor. You don't give him another chance in this franchise. It's confusing enough as it is. He can play a different character. Why does he have to play Electro again? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. And the only sense it makes is if they're going to, have the multiverse thing going on, and to do that would just, I'd be kind of devastated from an MCU point of view. I think it'd be just awful. I mean, I know they're trying to tie in Venom and Carnage and Morbius and stuff like that to the Tom Holland thing, and that's fine because they can do that with the Sony part. You don't necessarily have to have them interact with any of the rest of the MCU, but the whole Electro thing, nah. Especially with Spider-Man, probably, which they've said is going to be a part of the Doctor Strange multiverse of madness. Yeah, okay, links into the multiverse stuff there, but have different versions of these characters. Don't bring the stuff from the Sony. Don't do these stupid, cheap nods that Warner Brothers are hoping to do with Flashpoint, because Marvel, you're better than that. You've built up this thing over 10 years. Warner Brothers are just chasing, trying to figure out something to get the fans involved and get them behind them in one way or another. Let them do it that way. Don't do what they've done. I'm pissed at this, to be honest.
That's
And
pretty much my
Jamie Foxx, I hate you. You walk away from the table, man. Just walk away from the table. I'll go see your Tyson movie. I'll go see whatever else you want me to go see. Just don't ruin my Spider-Man. I'm just, nah. He's my favorite all-time comic book character, favorite all-time superhero. You coming up in his movie, you're going to wreck it. I said I was going to say one thing, and I haven't, and I could go on for about another hour, so I'm going to stop.
Oh, you would.
Kenan,
I mean,
you brought a massive smile on Sasha's face. Sorry.
He put this in to wind me up. I know he did.
Well, Sash knows that I can turn anything into an MCU discussion on any podcast. If there's no MCU story, I'll still rant about the MCU. But the MCU have nailed the cinematic universe better than any other, modern cinematic universe going. And they're all tripping over themselves to try to be it. Embarrassingly, the DCEU is just fucking atrocious, and they're trying to put it back. But the MCU have just nailed it. And I can't imagine why they agreed to this, because they get nothing from it. Yes, they can get a good actor, but you just pick any other good actor, because there's no point, as Kenan said, he used the perfect word, which is dilute. It's just diluting the waters. Sony's getting we can kind of retcon that this is kind of linked to the MCU, so we get all the glory while you're legitimizing our shit movies, which had moments, but were just not very good. Mm-hmm. And
Greg, I think it's probably businesses. No, but I think businesses intruding into the, let's say, the artistic of this thing. It's probably the Sony shoving it down. That's why I asked if Jimmy Fox is Sony's card, because the thing is, in the last one, if you checked, there was nothing that was brought in from the Sony other than the fact that they had allowed this, a movie to go forward and be made. So my guess is they had promises to be kept, Sony, and to make sure they had some control, some sort of intrusion within the project, and they have done it via Jamie Foxx.
But Sony kind of think they have control, but they don't, because they talked about, Spider-Man's going to be with Venom, and Kevin Feige's
exactly.
going, you're crazy, that ain't happening. He's like, I ain't letting your shitty films touch my films, and that's how it should be. It's like, you know, just keep it separate. You've created a Venom movie and a character without Spider-Man, and then you're going to try and put him in afterwards. No, that is just no. You shouldn't have had a Venom movie without Spider-Man in the first place, and then try and put him in afterwards. It's just so frustrating.
What if that Venom movie was from the alternative universe and wasn't in the MCU?
That alternative universe.
Have you seen the Morbius trailer? Have you seen the Morbius trailer where Morbius is running out of the prison? They've got a Spider-Man poster up on the wall, and it's the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
So maybe maybe Morbius is from the Tobey Maguire universe.
Yeah.
This is
the other day.
We won't know until it comes out. So, but here's the thing. I'm not against this idea. We can see that. But the way I see it is that they've been talking about multiverses for some time now. We've known the Multiverse of Madness and WandaVision have been on the cards for a few years now. So it's not them trying to one up DC. Feige pre-planned stuff. We know this. This is fact. And you know what? Maybe they are making a deal with Sony because Sony want to make their films, but at the same time, Marvel don't want to have them play in their main continuity. A multiverse solves that by having different iterations of characters. Jamie Foxx being in this universe just shows that he's a different incarnation of that character. He doesn't have to play him the same. Personally, I hate the Amazing Spider-Man films, both of them. My favorite iteration of Spider-Man is the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. I like 1 and 2. In my opinion, they're the greatest interpretation of Spider-Man ever put to film. I like the MCU Spider-Man, but I miss real Spider-Man by himself without all the gadgets and stuff, myself personally. But I get why they did that, because they had to show that, while making Far From Home, they had to show why Spider-Man is different for, this time round to all the previous ones. Whereas if Marvel had got it straight up the bat, we probably would have had something more like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. But, that being said, depending how they do it, because here's the thing, it's risky. It is risky. And it's one of those things where if they fuck up, because you've got to put into account the clusterfuck that was Venom, because I hate Venom as a standalone movie. It makes no sense for all the reasons that Ken said. And but if that was a separate universe and not the MCU, so that we could live in the hope that maybe we'll get our own version of Venom that shows up in Spider-Man later on down the line, done properly, I can be okay with that. I think Venom as a movie, I didn't hate Tom Hardy's performance. I just hated the movie as executed to me. Same with Jamie Foxx's portrayal as Electro. I didn't hate him. I hated aspects of what they did with that movie with the character. But at the same time, it was a bad turd movie overall. I think Jamie Foxx is a phenomenal actor. I think him being directed under a different script and different circumstances, like how they do the MCU movies in general, I think he'll do all right. But again, we're all going on what ifs. We don't know the plan, and we won't know until it's
I don't care about the plan. I don't like it. Whatever plan, whatever way they do it, I don't like it. Obviously, I'm going to have to see it.
Yeah.
But I don't like it, and I'm sure I won't like it, and I'll always have loads of regrets. I tell you, Jamie Foxx is no Judi Dench. Yeah, the only time this has happened is when they reboot Bond and keep the same M, and I was fine with that because it's Judi freaking Dench.
Yeah.
What about J. Jonah Jameson?
See, yeah, okay, there was that. I give you that. But here's the thing: is the problem is Marvel have been fighting to get back his characters since they loaned them all out and what have you, and the MCU is the greatest thing in modern cinema in the sense of it's absolutely dominating box office. It's got the top films of all time box office wise, and it's just nailing the tone. Kevin Feige at the head knows what he's doing, and he was always embarrassed when the Marvel logo would appear in front of a Fantastic Four movie, especially some of them, and it would be like, yeah, this isn't us. So much so that they discontinued the comics. They had the merchandising rights, and they said, we're not going to make toys because we don't want to encourage people to go see this shit. We want to get these back. We want it to bomb till eventually we get them back, or we can acquire the company, which seems to work as well. Obviously, Sony are big boys, and they've made a deal which brings Spider-Man, who, like, I love Spider-Man, he's back in the MCU where he belongs, with some weird things. But they're obviously, so far, he hasn't appeared in standalone things like Venom. As you said, there was the Tobey Maguire poster. So there's obviously deals to go, we'll make this together, we'll both make shit tons of bank, but we're not going to, you know, you can still use these characters as you have the right to do, but we'll do this together. And all this does is links it to shit films. So then now people are going to go, so then is Morbius part of the MCU sort of now because of this link through Jamie Foxx? And it's going to dilute the brand by just tying it to shit films.
It's the same,
even though they're not. So
yeah, it's the same
I get what you're
universe
saying.
as Venom.
Yeah,
but I don't know if the poster in the background was a red herring or just that, you know, the props team didn't know what universe they were in and just got the wrong poster. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's like a film advertising poster of the same Spider-Man costume as the Maguire one. But I think that's probably more of just a red herring, just like a stock footage photo of Spider-Man as opposed to being that universe. Could be wrong, but
it could be also the fact they can't use the other one.
Saying that though, I mean, like,
you're right.
I mean, like, it's kind of similar to the whole Hulk situation, isn't it? I mean, the Ang Lee Hulk, even though it's not really MCU canon, it, you know, the Incredible Hulk did start off as a sequel to that. It even, you know, sure, they changed the actors and stuff, so you could be like, okay, is this a different film? But it did, you know, the director of that film did state that he, you know, he was signed on to direct a sequel to the Ang Lee film. He filmed it as such. The you know, the bit where he hulks out during the credit sequence, that was supposed to be as filmed and as the final product states, as he states on the director's commentary. That's one of the many times that that he tries to get cured but failed. But at the same time, if you didn't like the Ang Lee movie, you could take it as an origin story. So it was very kind of loose, but that's mainly because originally when they filmed it, it was going to be a sequel to the Ang Lee one. That's what everyone was signed on for, and that's why it takes place after Mexico, etc. It is the dirty step cousin of the MCU, that movie. So that's basically,
wasn't it the second MCU film after Iron Man, and and obviously they replaced Edward Norton and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, the Ang Lee film was shit. I mean, those dogs and shit were just absolutely. But then they've still used General Ross from the, you know, the
no, it's a different actor.
No, but from the other one is MCU, but they've kind of forgotten about it. But then they've said, we'll keep General Ross. And as you said, you know, Jamie Foxx isn't going to be the first person who's reappeared because J. Jonah Jameson has turned back up. And the problem is that was just such good casting that it would almost, if you are going to put him in there, that was really nice. But yeah, I still don't like it. Do you know what? My problem with the Sam Raimi ones now in hindsight, I mean, the third one was atrocious, but the first two were brilliant at the time. But my problem is I just don't know Tobey Maguire now. After finding out that
Molly's Game,
the character in Molly's Game was him, and that he's an absolute
arsehole,
and a dick of the highest order.
Oh, I'm missing something here. Which character?
In Molly's Game, which and you'll get me ranting on Aaron Sorkin, who I think is godlike and is my favourite writer of all time. But Molly's Game, the character that Michael Cena plays.
What was his name called in that film? Because obviously they called him. It was hilarious.
But who he plays, bearing in mind that at that time Leonardo DiCaprio, that weird fucking magician who does all those weird
David
stuff. David Blaine
and the Pussy Posse.
Tobey Maguire were called the Pussy Posse, like the new Brat Pack and what have you. And they were going out and causing mayhem and stuff. And they used to do these poker games, but Tobey Maguire was really into it and very good at poker. But he is the character that Michael Cena plays. He was an absolute dick. He went out of his way to fuck her over. And everyone says he's an absolute arsehole. He really is. Part of this council culture.
Color X, it says. I just looked it up here.
Aaron Sorkin and Ollie and all the actors were very, very careful to go, well, it's based on some, but we can't really say.
Player X.
Is it Tobey Maguire? And she's going, It's based on someone, but we really can't say.
Yeah.
And it's he's an absolute dick. And now I look watching his films.
Yeah, I agree.
He's just an arsehole.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way because like that movie brought my attention about that. And then there's another incident, Greg, which you'll find out. But look up the movie Don Plum, which stars DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire. There's a whole thing about that, and I'm not going to mention it on here, but it's one of those things. It's a movie Tobey Maguire tried to get banned, basically, very much like Molly's Game, and it's a shame, man, because like I actually thought he was a really good Spider-Man, you know, but now I just can't stand him.
Stand the guy.
Whereas with apparently Leonardo DiCaprio, though being a bit wild and stuff, was still always a decent sort of human being. But yeah, he apparently was an absolute diva and a dick and atrocious, and he had ideas above his station. And yeah, don't get me wrong, Spider-Man made him a massive star, but to me, he was never on par with people like, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio or anyone else of child actor at his age. And so he had ideas above his station. That's what makes it even more embarrassing.
They were friends, right? They grew up together.
Yeah, they're still friends. Yeah.
But if like the in-betweeners, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but if you actually look them up and look everybody else up during the 90s and 80s, they acted like that. As soon as they reached a peak, it doesn't matter how good they were. I'm talking about a single flick that made them really well known. Dude, most of these people acted that way, and there are. When I remember the name, I'll tweet to Sacha. I'll let him know. There's a book written by an assistant of one of the actors, and it's about how they interacted with each other and what they did. And this is all during the 90s, before everybody had a camera in their hand, and it told you what they got up to and what they did. And when you read this book, you probably hate most of the people that you would like right now. So it's really up to you if you want to read them, but I'll let you know what the book name is. It's really interesting that because nobody was watching, they could do whatever they wanted to and acted the way they wanted to.
Yeah. You can't get away with it nowadays. I mean, what's it?
No, everybody's got a camera on them.
Who's the dude who played Flash? Who was
Ezra Miller.
Yeah, who was called Decking a Woman.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's got Ray Donovan working for him, doesn't he?
Yeah, you're not going to be in the next film. Sorry, dude.
He didn't get fired, unbelievably.
I know. They still haven't officially fired Amber Heard, and it's like she's turning out to be like the most horrific person ever. So,
yeah, no one likes that one. Does it? It's really funny that how many people actually dislike that person.
Yeah. I will look up that story on Tobey Maguire, but yeah.
Okay, so next up, Tamara Davis, Billy Madison, Halfbake, is to direct a movie. It's to direct Slinky, a movie based on the true story of the wife of the Slinky creator, Richard James, and how she saved the failing company when he left her with the kids and the business. Okay, a movie about Slinkies.
You mean that
maybe
thing
the movie we never know that we needed, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Slinky
yeah, I'm
movie.
a bit up and down on it.
Oh, very good.
Oh, nice one.
Is it bad that I want to break into the Ren and Stimpy song Log? It goes downstairs, it's covered in hairs under the neighbor's dog. It's on your back, log. I mean, Slinky, as a MacGuffin, I suppose, there could be an amazing story behind it that needs telling, but yeah, I'm still laughing at it.
It could be interesting. We have no idea who this person is and no idea what they were up to. So let's see. I don't mind waiting and looking at it if it was on TV.
Did you guys ever see Professor Marston and the Wonder Women, about the creator of Wonder Woman?
Oh, yeah, I was watching it the other day on.
And this was not the film I thought I was signing up for.
No,
it was just a kid guy who's into really fucked up fetish play and stuff like that. And it's like, so you never know the story behind this. And now I watch Gal Gadot and I'm going like, yeah, the guy made this dirty little freak. So you never know. You never know what's behind these stories. So
exactly, yeah. Jeez, the couple, him and his wife, they were quite pervy. They were really
quite pervy.
They were fishing these young girls out of. Never mind.
Yeah.
It's a completely different debate.
Okay, so next up, more delays with big blockbusters with Dune, The Batman, Jurassic World, and Bond moving back. COVID has taken over the world. How many of these films? How long can they keep pushing back James Bond, man? I mean, like we already made a joke earlier, but I mean, I swear we had a full list up before the releases, like on one of our chats, didn't we, Ken?
For these superhero movies, yeah. I mean, it's one of these things where, you know, Cineworld have taken the decision to close everything in the UK and in America. View of cinemas have come out and said that they are going to reduce opening hours for certain cinemas, you know, have them open like Friday to Monday, close maybe other days. Local lockdowns might affect things, and they're going to try, but there's not a lot of product out there for them, so we'll have to wait and see how long they can actually sustain that. It's a difficult situation. The studios are trying to protect their assets in terms of they invested a lot of money in these movies and they can't let it go to waste in a sense. But the cinemas can't survive without new content. And to be honest, not a lot of people want to go to the cinema at the moment. It's not their priorities. And I totally understand that. I mean, Sacha, there's movies that you come out and you've wanted to see and you've avoided it, you know, so
yeah, that's right.
And you're a film fanatic. So it just speaks to that. And, you know, I've gone a few times. I saw Tenet, I saw New Mutants. I'm going tomorrow to see Akira remastered. And that'll be it, like, because my Cineworld pass is coming to an end. So I'm just going to, you know, last hurrah. I mean, if you look at, so Bond will be about a year late by the time it comes out. Jurassic World, that's going to be a year late. That's been delayed by a year. And as of today, they've had an outbreak of COVID on set. So they're shutting down for another 2 weeks. It's going to keep happening, and more and more movies are going to be delayed because they're going to have shut down productions. There's going to be contract. We mentioned on the last podcast, there's going to be contract issues where people have signed up to movies and they're going to be wanting to film them at the same time and they're not going to be able to commit. It's going to cause a huge backlog. But it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing because you're going to encourage people to go out. And I know that, you know, that's my opinion. You know, and I know the cinemas want people to come out and, you know, think, what's the harm? I know there's people like in the theatre business and the music business and the government saying, you know, go train to do something else. I know it's a very, very difficult time, but it's a real hard balance, and it is about protecting people at the end of the days. At the end of the days, they are movies. And I know people's livelihoods are probably going to be affected by that, but safety comes first. And I just hope that the cinema chains will get the support that they need to keep their staff employed, whether it's furlough, whatever it is. So, you know, people don't lose jobs, houses and all sorts because of it. It's such a difficult situation, and I can't blame, or I wouldn't argue against anyone who feels any differently, you know. And so, yeah, it's just, it's an odd time, you know, and who knows when it's actually going to change. You know, my partner and I, we've just cancelled our wedding. We moved it from this year to next year, and we still don't know what it's going to be like next April. So we've cancelled it until further notice, and because we think that's the right thing to do. You know, rather than putting a pressure on other people and pressure on ourselves to make choices on behalf of other people and put them into positions we don't want them to. So there's no easy answer to this, but I understand why the studios are doing it, because it is the most financially sensible option for them. Some movies will be right for streaming services because of their budgets and production. Others need the cinema.
Yeah, I mean,
But
like,
will there be cinemas open to show them?
Yeah.
No, but so one thing should be said is that certain films that the cinema would have to make a choice, and the reason behind it is because of the finance. Now, cinemas don't tend to put their own money in the project, like not completely. They always have third party investments. They also have bank loans to do. So when let's say the interest comes up, they have to pay, and it becomes too much, they will have to make a move. And when the investors, they also need their money back. I mean, not everybody's, let's say, rosy these days. I mean, if the business is not doing well, they're not doing well. Even a billionaire wants their million back. So there will be a pressure point where they would have to decide what they have to do.
Yeah.
And let's hope it's something that we all enjoy, because really at the end of the day, they can't just put it on the shelf, especially these big budget ones. I mean, they've spent hundreds of millions in them. That money needs to be paid back.
Yeah, and if it doesn't make that money back, it's going to be coming out of their bottom line anyway, and they're going to have to leverage and take more loans, sell shares, whatever it is. So, you know, it's an impossible situation, and eventually, like you say, they're going to have to release product to get some money coming in, because where else is the cash flow coming from?
Exactly.
That's why these streaming services are going to be so important for these studios now, and there'll be other studios now thinking, what do we do? Do we start having a Sony one? Do we start having a Paramount one? I think who might be Peacock. I can't remember if they're tying in with NBC and stuff like that. But a lot of these networks are now going to be trying to tie in with other ones to try and get either content out or some kind of money in, because
Peacock is already a streaming service, though you just said.
Right.
That's NBC's preserving service.
Yeah, I know it's NBC. I didn't know whether Paramount was part of that or not.
Well, NBC's what it calls streaming service is called Peacock for some
Yeah, that's it. The Peacock. Yeah.
This is a problem. I mean, this could end up being like a debate that could fill up a whole of this program.
Yeah, I mean, totally. We'll have to do a special.
Like, everything is changing. COVID has affected everything. Plus moving forward in technology is affecting everything. I mean, you know, sort of like it seems like the BBC is about to scrap TV license and go over to this BritBox thing as a way of trying to get people, because nobody streams, everyone streams anymore. It's only old people who are doing it. They've already pissed everyone off by charging the old people and stuff. So
they were doing that. They've scrapped that.
Pardon?
They were doing that. They scrapped it because the amount of people watching BBC nowadays has not tripled, but gone 10 times higher than it was, because everybody's at home.
And that's BBC. The problem is, but they're still only kind of like
they're bringing back Channel 3, by the way.
Pardon?
They're bringing back Channel 3, BBC 3.
Yeah,
it's coming
but
back
again,
too.
they're still there. I mean, I thought it was a good move, because at the end of the day, people, the older generation, are doing this, and as they die off, they're still only kind of like plastering over the cracks and such. But I mean, you know, that's just part of the bigger issue. As Ken said, there's so much changing going on, and we could debate this. There's some fascinating things, recent comments by people about, you know, oh well, actors and theatres and things are just retrained. So fuck you, that's harsh. For someone who's works in the entertainment business, has been a trained actor, has done stuff in the creative business, stuff that that's just insulting. I've managed to keep going business, but I've lost a large chunk of money from something which has no foreseeable time of starting.
You know what needs to make a comeback? Drive-ins.
Dragons?
Yeah. Drive-ins.
Okay, I thought we said dragons. How the fuck is that related to anything?
Dude, we do not have the weather for drive-ins. You're going to be watching a movie.
Who cares? You're sitting in your car.
Like this the whole freaking time. It's like,
no. Okay.
I think we could make
something called the Sonic. You actually have a roof. So, tiny roof, but it does enough.
It could be. Although in fairness, it's just going to end up being sort of dogging at the movies, though. Because at the end of the day, if I take someone out of the movie out of the car, it's like
this country's got a reputation, bruv.
Floodlights. That's what we need.
Yeah, I think this could be a subject that could be discussed massively. Maybe it's something.
It's the chicken and the egg, right? If you've got no product, the cinemas can't do business. The cinemas close. Then when the product is ready, the cinemas might not be able to reopen.
It is
so.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, as someone who has a Cineworld card, they opened it a couple of months ago. They were going to open it a month before that, and then they stopped, and they opened it a couple of months ago. So I'm probably being charged, although I might have got 3 months from when they closed early and still trying to.
Yeah,
I'm kind of going. I'm really glad.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that they're going. We're closing, and I from a personal point of view, I'm glad, because I don't want to be charged and feel that I need to go to the cinema when I'm not comfortable doing that, because it's in closed space. So I don't want to do that personally, because I'm trying to be responsible, and I'm not socializing crazy. I'm not hitting pubs and clubs and bars, because I just don't want to do it. Plus I'm getting old and I can't be asked, but mostly because of COVID.
But there's no sense to the logic, because, you know, what they're saying is the government's like, no, go to the cinema, it's fine. But they won't send fans into football stadiums, which is outside and a huge amount of space. And it's just like, there's no consistency in their approach.
Well, I mean, they're just, they're having to deal with all that. I'm not playing devil's advocate for the toy politics. I really don't want to, but 1 month they do seem to be going, go to restaurants. We'll give you half your money towards it. And the next time they're going, well, people are going to too many restaurants and things. We may have to start closing restaurants in Manchester.
Well, they said on Monday that they're going to bring a new
in
rules.
Scotland, they're changed. You can't sell alcohol indoors for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like I say, we're probably going to get so wildly off of subject here. We
Yeah,
can
a little bit.
talk about this.
Oh yeah.
Going back
We've just
to the
gone
thing,
to.
I mean, I agree that Bond and all these things, they have to delay. They have no choice. If they release and nobody goes to see it when they've put 300 million into it, it's going to kill their company. That's it. That'll be the last Bond film they're going to be able to make. So they have to, and it is the chicken and the egg, and it is hard. And there's always that scary thing is, will they ever get to release it in a cinema? Will cinemas exist? They might not, and it's a terrifying prospect. But if they released it now, they're not going to be paying back their investors, as you said anyway, because they're just going to make a loss based on their budget. They need people to get out and see it. So it is tough, and I've been waiting to see Bond. The cast of Jurassic, the new Jurassic World looks absolutely phenomenal. They bring back everyone for a last hurrah. Plus, I'm glad it's kind of a finale. All these things, the Black Widow movie, all these things, I want to see all of these, but I don't want to go to cinema. And as and when they would have been released, I could have grabbed my Cineworld card and gone and see them. Not for free, obviously I'm paying for it monthly, but gone and seen them. But I wouldn't have wanted to. So I'd rather wait and it be a safer environment, and hopefully cinemas to still exist. But I think the way it's changing the industry, how much things are going on to cinema, and how cinemas are stopping because people are breaking agreements and putting stuff onto streaming services, how companies are creating new streaming services to try to do this, how BritBox may have been changed, may have been created, and then it's gone back because of people being home. This whole thing could make a debate for a whole one of these.
Be an interesting If you want to do it, I'm definitely what I call.
I'd be definitely up for it. Maybe something you could do on your thing, Kenan, because it would be left field, but it would make a very fascinating sort of retrospect into how the industry is going to have to change because of this. And
saying it, man, drive-ins. We need drive-ins.
I'll probably do it I probably might do it as a special because it is such a hot topic and stuff like that. And it's like you say, we could talk about it for a long time. And
I think Joe would definitely want to be on that one.
Actually, I've just remembered something. Last week or so, stand-up comedians, they have started doing this. So that they like a concert stage, they put that up and they have cars drive up. And Top Gear is doing the same thing with their live shows right now. It's like a drive-in. People are coming in, driving in, parking up, sitting on top of the cars, out of the cars, and watching the show on the stage. And I think that is a good idea as a good solution.
It's a good idea, but we're now moving into October, November, the weather.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's not possible. It's not going to be a possible sustainable thing now.
But again, I used to live in Michigan. I've been where it's snowing and people still go to drive-ins. People will still go, and it's a lot of fun, especially because it creates a funny, interesting community because people are sitting in their own cars. They still talk to each other. They sometimes don't talk. They have their own. Let's say they're more than a normal amount of people should be sitting in a car. Let's put it that way, because you're meant to have the amount of seat belts, the same amount of people. So you're sitting down, you'll have like 10 people sitting in one car, talking, playing, doing whatever. So it creates that. And there's the drive-in, what I call restaurant called Sonic, and they have these small tent-like things that is simply you assemble them, put them on, cars parked underneath, and to save you from the rain and stuff. There are small solutions for this, but people, stand-up comedians, they're trying to get back to work. They've used it. Talkware is doing it, and they're doing it on TV as well. So it's a good solution. You shouldn't allow weather to hamper it, but find solutions in order to still do it with doing the weather as well. You can't obviously do it when it's the hurricanes coming.
The trouble is we just don't have the space in this country for it. If you take central London,
that's true.
There isn't the space to kind of just put these things as pop-ups, and so they would be kind of more localized. And like I say, anything like that is an option. But I think just because Sacha and I especially know a lot of people who still work in the cinema industry, in the business, we feel for them, and the way the Cineworld handled their situation was just awful. So
I also think that it's safe to say that all of us here are sort of, cinephiles, film fanatics. And if I went to a drive-in where you couldn't see or hear the film very well, and there was loads of people in the car, and it was there more for the experience, it would piss me off. I'd be like, shut the fuck up, I'm trying to watch the film. And people are back home.
No. So the drive-ins, the way they work is, so there's let's say it's like a parking lot, and every parking space has a small tiny tent. And on the pole of the tent, on either side, are two speakers. So when you're sitting there, there's a speaker literally right next to your ear booming into your thing. The sound originally was like a mono box. Kind of, you took the speaker and put it in your car.
In your car, yeah.
But a lot of people stole that. So what they did tend to do was to put them on the pole so you can't take them off. But you got the same gist of it, like you do in cinema, because they basically pointed towards your car, so you have your windows down. So, but in the north where I used to live in Michigan, the speaker had to come in because it was too cold, and it was a mono box and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's true. The sound on that one was horrible, and also over time, people don't replace them; they become worse, worse, and worse. But if you have a good business model, you can keep on what I call maintaining it, find a different solution for it. It can be a case that you can have it running.
I don't think it's ever going to be a feasible thing in this country. I think it will always be a case of they're either going to go for the cinemas open, or if that's not feasibly possible, everything will be made for streaming services, which is why Netflix are churning out their own films, Amazon are churning out their own films, not just.
But have you guys partook in the I used to call it the fashion, what I call cinema, which was there was a lot of these pillow cinemas, rooftop cinemas, and park cinemas that have popped over all over London. You guys ever went to those?
No, I know they did rooftop cinemas. I know they did them like grounds in castles. I know there's loads of different variations. I've never done it myself.
I've done an outdoor cinema.
The only other one I did was like backyard cinema, and they did Star Wars one.
Right.
And that's where is it backyard the one where you get the immersive experience? I'm trying to think.
You mean Secret Cinema?
Secret Cinema. Sorry,
Cinema.
Yeah, Secret Cinema is one. I did the Star Wars one for that Empire Strikes Back, and that was phenomenal. But,
I've done an outdoor cinema where there were deck chairs and you could have blankets as it got colder, and it was in the back of a manor house in Brighton, and it was beautiful and lovely. And I took my daughter to see that because they were showing her favourite film. They were showing Stand By Me, so I was like, I've got to go take her to see that.
So I know 4 of them. One of them is in Queens. It's a pub in. It's a club, not even a pub, a club in Shoreditch. They do a rooftop cinema. And there are 2 other companies that do park ones. So what they tend to do is they tend to rent out, or essentially rent out a small space. When I say small space, you can fit about 1,300 people in there. So, the screens, they tend to put them around town in London when the Wimbledon is on, or the Olympics is on, or that. So they rent those out. They put them around, so they get the barbecue cone and they got the popcorn going, and so they have those stupid bags they sit on.
The bean bags.
We call them bean bags. That's it. So you sit on those, or you sit on pillows, or something like that, or you can bring your own. It's like a picnic whilst watching a film.
Yeah.
And it became a business due to those screens popping around London, and people thought, wait a minute. I mean, other than watching sports, we can watch films on this. So in Wembley, when I used to live there, they started doing it themselves. So after the tennis game, they'll put on 2 flicks, right? And when that was finished, they'll switch it off. And then the next morning, they'll put on 2 flicks, then the Wimbledon game, and then 2 flicks and switch it off. And if you wanted to put up a little stand there to start selling booze or start selling popcorn or whatever, people were doing that too. And there were tons of these companies around London prior to this. Yeah. So when I say outdoor cinema, it does work, and people have started going, because I've been to a few and there were thousands of people there. One was in Hyde Park. Yeah. And had must have been over 1,000 people there.
I think the challenges that you have there is that the studios will be afraid that they are not going to get the money back, which they think they will, because of the way the events are run. The way they're set up, you got piracy issues, in terms of filming out there and stuff like that. So there's a lot of other factors, and unless there is a particular company who is able to demonstrate that they're able to take tickets and bookings and give them a percentage of that box office in a good way, they won't be interested, because the cinema chains, everything goes through their ticketing system. Everything is formulated to a point where obviously they agree box office cut. So the trouble is, when a movie is distributed to a cinema chain, the film buying team are responsible for negotiating that. So every cinema chain will do it differently. Warner Brothers will say, right, we've got this film. We want 50% of the box office. So everything that you take, 50% comes to us. Cinema will be like, no, we're not going to offer that. Let's talk about 40%. They might meet at 45, or then they might say, right, we'll get 50% for the first 4 weeks. Then it reduces down in scale. But if you take that, it's going to be on X amount of screens within your cinemas. And then if you do that, when this other movie comes out, we'll only take 20% of the box office because that's not their tentpole movie. So there's a whole big thing behind it in terms of how those studios get their money. And to do that on the outdoor cinemas, they're mainly independents. And that is going to be very, very difficult for those companies to get their money.
But they gotta evolve, man. There's no cinemas.
They do, but they're going to be thinking, I'd rather take the hit for another 12 months than, because it's going to take months to try and set something like that up. So.
But also 1,000 people outside at a packed outdoor cinema is no better than a few hundred people inside in a normal cinema. There's not.
Yeah, because you'll get 5-6 showings a day in a screen of the 300 seat up. So then the turnaround is so quick. Those
but it's
big
also
events,
from a health point of view, from a COVID spreading point of view, that's not safer. The drive-in cinema is safer.
Yeah.
But the logistics to have 20, 30 cars with paying the ticket prices is just not going to.
Well, cars don't pay. The person.
Even so, we were talking about reduced numbers massively compared to.
It's true. But it's income. So there is income. At the moment, there's zero income.
I think the income will come from Netflix going, well, we'll buy up these films or Amazon, and they'll
sell it. They'll sell it to streaming platforms.
And that's how it's going to happen. It's either going to be cinemas will reopen or they won't. And you might have outdoor cinemas eventually, and even maybe cinemas eventually down the line. But in the meantime, there'll be this interim of Netflix and Amazon and Disney Plus. Well, more Netflix and Amazon and other companies. And you'll find
Apple,
and you'll find Warner Brothers and people like that just making their own streaming service. We'll show our films on our streaming service.
Yeah.
You're not buying a year's thing, and the same with all these other studios. Buy our thing, and I think you'll find studios will band together. Well. Bloomhouse and this and that, and Citygate film, or whatever, they'll come together and they'll, do like a horror one or whatever. You'll just it's just going to change the thing. If cinemas don't reopen, that's how it's going to go. I doubt outdoor cinemas are going to be a thing. I think they will as a novelty, but no more than they are now. So,
There you go.
Okay, next up, James McAvoy is the star in a remake of the 2017 French real-time thriller Mon Garçon, which in this English version it will be called My Son. This version, like the original movie, the actors will have no script whatsoever, but given a scenario of what the scene is about so that they can improvise each other and play the role any way they want for each scene of the movie. I've not seen the original, but that's definitely like a really cool way of like filming something, I guess.
I don't know.
Sounds a bit spontaneous.
The French movie is called My Son in English anyway.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. But I don't know. It depends on the actor, man. If they're good at improv,
well,
they're good. If they're not,
McAvoy's really damn fucking good at stage work as well as,
and it's also got Claire Foy in it.
So, also another phenomenal actress. As well.
Claire Foy, she played the Queen in The Crown.
The Crown,
she's very good. I mean, I recently saw her in the remake, not the remake, the sort of sequel, but sort of a relaunch of the Girl in the Spiders web, and she made quite a good. Elizabeth Salander sort of thing. So considering that she's known as the Queen, it's quite a different character.
And it's the same director. So the director who did the French version is doing the English version.
Okay.
I mean, I suppose the only good thing that's going to come out of this is I'm hoping the actors will see the French version so they know the story. Because if you just kind of say, you act how you want to act it, but you don't have an overlying thing, be it a script or at least a really detailed synopsis, it's like, you're not going to have consistency. There might be real sort of.
It's only McAvoy who's not going to have the script, so the rest of the characters will have a script.
Right.
But it's just McAvoy, so they'll be able to provide him the detail and his reaction off that.
Right.
So,
okay.
It's like a Truman Show version of directing. I mean, it sounds fascinating. As an experiment, it could work, and it could.
Yeah. So I actually really want to go and watch the French film now. So I'm definitely search that out now and have a look at that. So
I mean, McAvoy's a good actor. Is he good enough to pull that off? Is he known for his improv? I don't know. I mean,
I don't know if he does comedy improv, but I think he's definitely got the acting ability and the way able to read a scene. If you look at him like split in the multiple personalities he has and this, that, and the other, I think, and as a stage actor, I think he'll do really well in this. Obviously, he's been given the concept and he believes that he can do it, and Yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and like I said, I'm gonna have to go check the French version out because it's a really interesting premise.
Well, they'll find out during the dailies one day.
Yeah.
What happens if they watch the dailies and go, "Fuck, this is worth a try"?
Well, they gotta do it, right?
Well, unless McAvoy goes and watches the French version, then he kind of knows what to do. So,
I mean, I think what's interesting is it's as you say, it's a brand new idea. It's this sort of thing is synonymous with certain actors in comedy. I mean, you could make 17 different versions of any Anchorman film based on the different improvisation of all the people in there, and they have a tendency of doing this. Will turn out a slightly different curve because it is just so different. And it's a lot of comedy is very much sort of like improvised, but you don't normally imagine it being serious acting because there's normally a lot more story to carry. But
even like Thor Ragnarok was hugely improvised. They had a very basic script story outline, and a lot of it was improvised.
I mean, the best famous example of that is Beverly Hills Cop, the original film, and even the second one. That was meant to be a gritty crime thriller starring Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone then tried to rewrite the script, making it more like Cobra, what would become Cobra. And obviously Paramount was like, this is way too dark than we were going. So they had creative differences, and then they approached Schwarzenegger, Willis, every action guy under the sun, and then 48 Hours came out, and someone at Paramount was like, you know what, maybe we should get Eddie Murphy. And then what happened was they took their original script, everyone else tried to play it how they would play it, and Eddie Murphy just ad-libbed his character throughout, and everyone else was kind of reacting off of what he was.
There's some great takes. I love that story as a genuine sort of like story, and the fact that Stallone went on to make Cobra as if to say, well, this is what I was going to make, and it turned out to be not what it best. But what I love is you can actually see certain scenes in this, and one of his co-stars, not John, whatever the guy was, but the other one of his co-stars was actually sort of like he kind of sort of like hits himself at one point just to stop laughing. He basically has to punch himself in order to to keep serious because he didn't want to ruin the take. But they just found Eddie Murphy hilarious.
I mean, the second film, Tony Scott said it was the easiest gig he's ever had in his life because all he did was just put the camera on Murphy and Murphy just went. And it kind of goes to show why the third one didn't work, because when it came to the third one, Paramount were pushing a third one and they paid him a lot of money because he didn't want to come back. And the reason why he didn't want to come back is because they didn't want him to ad-lib. They wanted to tone it down for the kids by making it a 12 out in America. It was a 15 over here, but it was a 12A in America. And they had a full script, etc. And you can feel the energy of Beverly Hills Cop not really being in number 3 because that was the lackluster one out of all of them. But
Eddie Murphy in his heyday was like Robin Williams. I mean, Robin Williams, his best performances are ones where you just point a camera at him and just let him go off.
Totally.
Aladdin, be it, sort of Adrian Cronauer in Good Morning Vietnam. You just let him do his shit and you go, we'll make a movie out of this. This will be fine. We've got so much to choose from and we'll take the best to make a movie. Whereas, don't get me wrong, he was amazing in stuff like Good Will Hunting. But a good actor should be able to do that. And hopefully James McAvoy will be able to do that in a dramatic sense. But it's either going to be a massive step in the future of how some films are going to be made to keep them really fresh and stuff like that, or it's going to fail so spectacularly that people will never try it again. So
even if it's really good, I don't think people would do it because people like structure. And one, you need really good actors to ad-lib and go off. I mean, not many of them are that great. And people who work, and especially when it comes to British actors, because a lot of them have that regimen of working in the theaters before going to the screens, bigger or small, doesn't matter. They have that regimen in them because you fumble. Sometimes when you're doing like 600 shows for like 4 months, you fumble and you have to fix it or somehow bring it back to this, where it's supposed to be going. You learn those ad-libs. But if you're not, and a lot of American actors are not, because there's industries so huge that churn them out. Their schools simply, And I don't think that would be that common there.
They're saying this, isn't this just the next advance of method acting in the sense that Daniel Day-Lewis has sort of done this before? I mean, obviously he has scripts. He's renowned for doing his own thing. I mean, the whole, I drink your milkshake was ad-libbed completely. That wasn't in the script. He just made that shit up, and it's like eminently quotable. Half of his Butcher Bill stuff is him just going off on a tangent and stuff like that, and then go, this is brilliant. You don't fuck with Daniel Day-Lewis. This guy is possibly the greatest actor that's ever lived, so we just let him do his stuff. So in a weird sort of way, even though they probably tried to constrain him in the script to an extent, he just did his own thing anyway. So it could be argued that this is just a new attempt to method and go, we just won't even bother with the script.
But he is 1 out of the 100, isn't he? I mean, nobody else tried it.
Oh, no, I mean, he is. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis is up there with De Niro and Pacino and Gil Good and whoever else, as some of the greatest actors that ever lived. But yeah, he is absolutely phenomenal. So
okay, we're coming to the end of the show. That's a wrap, guys. Salmon, where can we find you?
Well, usually here, or Critter Control with Kenan, or at Cell_F1, any of the social medias. Usually the Instagram or Twitter, you'll find me there.
Greg, anything to pimp? Anything you want to do a shout out or anything?
Yeah, you can find me under Board Gamers, BORED Gamers, on social media. I was on Amazon, but I think it's just come off now after many, many years on there, so you can't watch my on Amazon anymore. But you can find me still on social media and YouTube and things. You can also find articles and stuff under, I've been writing for pczone.co.uk, so you can find some things on there.
Oh, and Kenan, where can we find you? And do you happen to have anything to pimp?
Oh yeah, I've got this new podcast coming out. I don't know if I mentioned it. Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Kenan Talks Film. You can so follow me there for movie news and stuff like that. If you want to delve into the podcast, you can catch it on YouTube. Go to Creative Control, search Creative Control on YouTube. If you go to, I've forgotten the name of my bloody website now, Buzzsprout. If you go to Buzzsprout, you'll be able to get links to all the various locations you can get the Creative Control. But if your main ones are going to be Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Deezer, Spotify, go onto any of those platforms. Just search Creative Control Movie Podcast, and you'll find it. Download, subscribe. Hope you enjoy.
Oh, and what he just said, download this podcast, subscribe, share the love, and we're out.
Peace.
Go on, do it. Come on.
I am the man that killed Jamie Lannister.